Welcome to the Main Character Podcast. I am your host, Brandon Hamblin, main character of my own story. But this podcast isn't about me. It's about you, and all of you. Every person that has ever lived on this planet, all 8 billion people here now, all that came before us, and all that will come hereafter are the main characters in their own story. My aim is to interview people that embody living in their energy and discovering from their perspective what their perception of reality is like. Buckle up. You're about to experience the world through another main character's eyes. A little bit of setup so that you know what the heck you just got yourself into.
Okay.
So main character podcast.
Okay.
I am endlessly fascinated at how everybody sees reality. Right.
Okay.
We'll get into religion and some, right, what makes you you.
Okay.
And so we've talked a little bit about Catholicism. You were raised Catholic, right?
Mm-hmm.
You could have two Catholics raised in the same neighborhood, same set of congregation. What's the term for when you go to the same mass?
Yeah. No, it's the congregation. That
Congregation.
So yeah.
Same. Would that be a bishop? Father?
Pastor.
Priest. It is a priest. Priest is the word. And you're still going to perceive of God slightly differently, maybe even entirely differently, because of different backgrounds. The way that you could read the same verse, it's applying to you differently. And so I'm fascinated by tribalism and not liking those outside of your tribe and all that stuff.
Yeah.
8 billion people on this planet. We're all the main character in our story. How do you do life?
Well, yeah, and it's really it's something as simple as like you could go home and then you come home from church and then that's like nature versus nurture, right? Is like you could believe all you want and then you come home and then your mom or your dad says one thing and you're like, oh, that changed my belief system.
Okay, so my third guest, Lucas.
Like the stadium? Lucas Oil Stadium?
Yes, exactly that. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Are you a Colts fan?
No, but my mom was born in Indiana, and so she was a Colts fan.
Okay, so there's a little bit in the
she was born in Chicago, and then she was raised in Bloomington, Indiana, and so she's a Chicago Bear fan because of where she was born, and then she was raised in Indiana, so she was also a Colts fan. It was a very split football.
Well, at least you got NFC, AFC.
Yeah. And
That's
then my
fair.
dad liked 5 different teams.
Which, man, that Super Bowl. It's the only one. No, Manning won 2. He won that one with the Colts, and then he won after the Seahawks whooped his ass.
What about it?
Well,
where you seem like you were going somewhere. So I'm interested.
We'll circle back on that. But I already. I am the worst rabbit holer on the planet.
I know. I am what they call an enabler.
Oh, fantastic! Oh gosh, rabbit hole. Yeah, you just do you, Brandon. Great. Lucas. So he was
Oil Stadium,
raised strict East Coast Catholic. Loved, like, to the point where his parents were unbelievably strict. Some of the other congregants were like, you guys got to like tone it down. You guys are crazy. Because he was raised in that hierarchical system, went straight into the Marines at 18, came home on leave at like 24 years old, hanging out Saturday night, goes to mom and dad and says, we going to church tonight or tomorrow? Dad leans back and says, we didn't believe any of that shit. We just did that for you kids.
Huh.
Right.
Interesting.
So like that whole
just completely shattered his world.
He
was like, I need to basically do this because my parents are like, and he might, obviously his actual opinion may differ because I haven't chatted with Lucas personally, but he could basically be like, I just did this because my parents said this was a good idea to do.
Totally. Well, and he was.
Did he stop going to church after that?
No, he was bought in from childhood.
Okay.
Bought in through that point, and then he doubled down.
Oh, wow.
He was like, oh, they're bad.
Oh, they're bad people?
Yeah.
That's what he thought his parents were?
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah. And so now he's totally out.
I mean, he's totally out now?
Yeah. Yep.
Interesting. So he doubled down, thought his parents were bad, and then he eventually just worked his way out?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Right? And so this is the sort of stuff that
Bro,
I'm like,
what?
right.
Your life goes, that's like such an up and down roller coaster for life. And it's just like, and I mean that in no offensive way. It's just hilarious because it's like to be so like against your parents for that point. But it's like, it sounds like late teens, early 20s, right? Especially for dudes when you get out on your own and you're just like, F you. And
Right.
you get into that stage and then like you hit 30 and maybe you have your first kid and you're just like, oh, I need to learn how to fix a sink.
Yes.
I got to call my dad. Dang it.
Yeah, yes. Totally that. Well, and it's funny how those little landmarks along our way, right? Because your brain isn't fully developed until you're 25. Are you out of the house before then anymore? Are you still in? And then you get married. Do you get married? Do you have kids? Kids totally change your world. I am a neat freak. If I was by myself, this house would be spotless, everything in its place, everything shiny, not a piece of stray hair anywhere.
You can tell you're a neat freak already in your house just because I know you have 4 kids.
Oh my gosh.
And I have a friend that has 2 kids. I have several friends that have 2 kids. And their house does not look like this at all. And like some of them are really good about it, right? And other ones, like the ones that are basically a mirror replica of you, they have 2 kids, and they just like they told me we pick up every morning, and this was my introduction to like kid cleaning. They were like, we pick up every morning, and then it's like this by the afternoon, and there's just toys spread across the living room floor, and then they go, and then we pick up at night.
And then somehow we still have to pick up in the morning.
And then they're like, and sometimes it's like this before we wake up. And I was like, how?
Yeah, because they're just little agents of chaos. That's what children are.
And they don't know the difference. So
well,
it makes it fun because then they run around and they mess everything up. But then the one time they like bonk their head into your like rear view mirror on your car, you're like, that makes it worth it. You're like, they're fine. This is hilarious.
Yeah, I am definitely a like mess around and find out dad.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can
put a penny in a light socket.
Oh yeah,
go ahead.
Find out what happens.
See what happens.
You will learn your lesson. I can tell you all day long not to do it, but some of you need.
I did that, and the penny wouldn't fit.
Oh no!
I literally watched my dad go for it, and the penny didn't fit in the light socket. It was the best because I was like, as I did it, I was like, this doesn't work, and I was like, maybe I shouldn't do this. All right, we're done, and that was the end of my curiosity on that one. And then I literally saw my dad kind of get disappointed. He's like,
damn it, that would have been so good.
He was like, I think actually he goes, what? It doesn't fit? I was like,
I would totally get along with your dad. That's so good.
And as soon as I knew that, I was like, oh, he's out to get me. Like, I was like, he was out to get me on that one for sure, 100%.
Oh man. Okay, so let's go there. I
swear to God, he was like, lick your fingers and put it in there.
Here's a fork. Actually, let's see if that works. Oh gosh. So do you have a good relationship with your dad?
It's a father-son relationship. It's on again, off again. Right? Like it's like we could be best friends one day, and then like another day he just is angry because I didn't hand him something the right way. Like, right?
Oh yeah, okay.
You know what I mean? Or it's like I didn't like you're around and you don't know all of a sudden. Like if I'm in my own garage, I know what a crescent wrench is.
Yes.
I know what a pair of pliers is. I know what that is. But the moment I'm in my dad's shop, he's like, hand me a crescent wrench. I'm like, okay. All right. Like, and then it's like, and then I wonder why he gets mad at me. And I'm like, all right. I was like, that's probably why. But then again, it's like, dude, you do this. Like you.
Oh, yeah.
It's like it's like, I get it. But like, I can feel the seething before I even go grab the wrench.
Okay. So where are you at birth order?
I am the youngest.
You're the
of 2.
Of 2.
Older sister.
Okay, so you're the only boy.
Mm-hmm.
Age difference?
4.5 years.
Okay, so not terrible.
Yeah, it actually was really nice for high school for her because she didn't have to deal with me.
I was going to say she was out. She was gone. Do you two have a good relationship?
Just like my dad, on again, off again.
Really?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. 100%. Like we hated each other when we lived in the same house.
Yeah.
And then she left, and I was like, oh, like the first year I was like, oh yeah, she's gone. Like hell yeah. And then I do it. I want. I run down the hallway. I can go poke her door, and she can't get mad. And then I can put my foot in her room wherever I want. Whoop, whoop, whoop. And then it's just like,
so good.
And then like after a year, you're the only one dealing with your parents. And so you're like, oh
You're
man, this is a
child.
lot. And you're like, can I get out of the house? And I'll never forget, like I went over for the first time to like, she had rented an apartment and I went over and I was like, hey, how's it going? And she was like, pretty good. I'm out of the house. And I was like, yeah, but I wish. I was like, and then
you
she like,
taking
I could
strays?
see her sympathize. Yeah. And she was like, oh, you're still in Nam, right? Like you're still, you're still in Vietnam. And I was like, oh, 100%, man. And so then we liked each other, and then we were good for like a couple years. And then yeah, you just go through ebbs and flows with family, right? Like you just
totally.
like, because it's like you could say one thing and they're just like, what the hell? And then you can say another thing and they're like, I totally get that. This is why we're siblings. So
yeah, family, man.
that's how it goes.
Well, that's like the whole don't do business with family, right?
Oh yeah, I
Because-
was a landlord, and the first thing I said is I'm never going to rent to my friends or family.
No. Yeah, bad idea.
It changes the dynamic, because essentially you're
Totally.
just like, you're sitting there and you and I can have a friendly conversation, and it's like, I mean, like, hey Brandon, how's it going? And like, and not bad. And we can like share, we can share a bottle of whiskey, and it's fine. But
Right.
the moment I become your landlord, I'm like, hey, that's a cool bottle of whiskey. How much was that? And then it's like, oh yeah, I got it on sale, but it was still like $150, but it's really good whiskey. And it's like,
Right.
okay, cool. I know your rent is like, I was going to say $1,200, but nobody's rent is $1,200 unless you live in the
2,000
Midwest.
plus.
Yeah. And maybe. And then it's like, I know your rent is $2,000. Is that $150 going to make a difference?
Right.
Like, is that going to be a difference? Like, are you going to pay me one day late? And then you
Right.
have $100 or whatever late fee on top of that. So it's like that already digs like into your late fee if you're
Yep.
late. And you're just in that panic with your friends, and you don't want, the thing is it doesn't come, at least when I was a landlord, like it never came from a place of malice, right? Like it
Right.
comes from a place of concern. It's like,
Totally.
because I was also a real estate agent at the time, and it's really big about managing your money. Like I went through so many seminars about like how to manage your money, where to potentially invest, how to, save up, because as a real estate agent, you're supposed to have 6 months worth of saving. 6 months worth of savings.
One more time.
Impossible this day and age.
6 months.
But it's like, and then and they're like, and so you're just like in that panic mode, and then you become a landlord on top of that. You're like getting all this financial information through a fire hose, and then you are a landlord on top of that, and you're just like, how can I help my tenants financially? Like,
Right.
You're like, I know how much their rent is. I know. And I was very proud of the rents that I set, because I always set them a little below market, because I wanted to attract more tenants so I could have good tenants. But then also I wanted to make sure they could sustain themselves every month.
Totally.
So, and it made me feel good. And
Right.
so it was like, yeah, I worked really hard to, purchase this home, and I'm going to rent it out. And it's like, I have to make a little bit of money on that, but I don't have to be the businesses in this day and age where it's like, I don't have to be a shark. I don't have to be aggressive, where I have to be like, I can set it and be like, okay, I can make a comfortable enough profit each month to set that aside. But I know that I'm once again below market value, and I'm doing the best that I can do for my
Right.
tenants.
Yeah.
So
You're not screwing over other people,
Yeah.
but you're still putting yourself in a good position. And, renters are
then
funny.
they come to you and they're like, hey, we want to buy a $3,000 dog. And you're like, 2 months ago, you were late for 15 days. Like, what makes you think?
Right.
You're like, and then you, once again, you get into financial mode, where you're just
Oh,
like,
yeah.
how can I financially help them? And then you give them tips, and you try and give them tips and tricks, but not in a condescending way, because it's super easy to look like an ass.
Right. Well, there's renters like me. I can go buy a house, but trying to figure out the area and some other things, or somebody that just likes to rent, doesn't want to own. But the vast majority of renters are in a financial situation where they can't buy a house. They have to rent. And so you're already fundamentally dealing with people that aren't responsible with their money.
So wait, how old are you though?
38.
You want to know the kicker that's really strange?
Hit
And
me.
you've probably heard this before. I am getting more and more people that are renting because they are financially stable.
Yeah.
They don't want to deal with a house.
Really?
That is the big thing right now.
So
and
that
especially
is on the upswing.
This is why I love being in, I'm still like friends with a bunch of real estate agents, because it's like, I get to, and being somewhat of a landlord, it's like, I get to listen to my tenants, and then I get to listen to the other landlords and to the other real estate agents.
Yeah.
And they're like, I have family members. I have several family members that are like, and I have a friend that's a real estate agent that is like, I'm never going to buy a house. He's a real estate agent. And he's
Never
like,
gonna buy a house.
and he's like, I'm never going to buy a house. He's like, I'm always going to rent
Is
because
that
he
because-
doesn't want to deal with the problems. If the dishwasher goes out, he doesn't want to pay for it. He wants a landlord to pay for it.
Yeah.
If the kitchen floods, he doesn't want to file that claim. He doesn't want to deal with it. The landlord deals
Oh
with it.
yeah, you get to see the insurance side of it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Yeah.
and it's not, and even like just, from a tenant perspective, it's like, what do you have to do, right? Like you have to maintain the property, keep it clean, change a light bulb.
Yep.
If your sink leaks, then if you can fix that, the landlord sees it as a bonus. Because otherwise, I've had a phone call where people have called me at like 10 o'clock at night and they're like, my sink is leaking. And I'm like, oh no. And I run over at 10 o'clock at night. Or if they're courteous enough, I go, is that like, I know there's several sinks at that property. Do you need that right now? And they've like been courteous enough where they're like, you can come tomorrow morning. That's fine.
Cool.
I'm like, cool. And then I show up and I literally twist the nut on the bottom of the sink pipe. And I'm like, and then I run the water for like 5-10 minutes. And then I'm like, okay, I fixed it. Like
that's such a funny point because I am a fixer.
Yeah.
I mean, right. The house that we just put up for sale yesterday.
Best of luck on that one. Break a leg.
Yeah. Thanks.
You'll be fine.
The number of times that I was fixing stuff, our hot water heater went out. It was tankless, amazing. But like, I had a plumber come out or whatever it is for a
We'll
hot
talk
water.
off air about that tankless water heater because I am so curious, but it is the driest conversation that we are about to have.
Okay. Well, so this guy
if I
comes out.
ask you about that,
All he
so
had to
keep
do
going.
was like vacuum out a little spot of it, and it started working again. And he
the
charged me
tankless hot water
Yeah,
heater?
$600. I'm like, you could what? And
But you were
so-
in Washington though, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
It was a freaking mess.
Mhm.
And so, cool. Now that I know how to do it, and with YouTube, you can figure out how to fix just about anything.
Mhm.
So I fixed a couple things. And but here, right, we're renting this. I have like a toilet seat that's a little loose that's starting to wiggle, and I'm like, I know how to fix it.
But I don't want to fix
But I don't want to fix it. So I totally get that. Like, man, if you're renting, it is so much easier to just say, landlord, fix this freaking problem. I'm not dealing with it. But man, then you're missing out on the equity. You're missing. I mean, there's a lot of
There is a
downside
ton- there is a
to renting
ton.
instead of owning.
There's a ton that you're missing out on. And if you're going to rent, you got to find a really good price. You got to find a really good price to justify it. Because, you can still find, if you're able to save up, you can still find some deals on houses if you're willing to be patient and work hard enough. And you've got a good real estate agent who knows how to negotiate buyer and seller concessions.
Yep.
That's a lifesaver.
Well,
But
and
yeah, it's on a smaller, on a smaller scale, because I used to work at a rental car company as well. Like on a smaller scale, like it's this, what you just said is the same phrase that I heard every week, if not almost every day, working at a rental car company, which is, it's a rental. People do not care about that car because it's a rental car. Like I would love to say that, and there is a small, not everybody, so there's a small majority of people that will do, like they'll return it back better than it was.
Yep.
Because
Very
that's just
small.
how they were raised.
Yep.
And that's how I do it. Like I return the car back better than, I
Yeah.
try to make it better than it was.
Yeah.
But there are several people there's the vast majority of people that are like, ain't my car, ain't my problem.
Yep.
So it's like, ain't my house, ain't my problem.
My dad owned car dealerships. And so when I was 16, 17, 18, I was the head detailer, lot boy, all that fun jazz. And, I'd see the big old semi truck coming in with cars that they had just bought at auction. And I always knew the ones that they had gotten from rental companies. I'm like, not in a million years would I buy one of those cars off the lot. There is no way. Because I have no idea how it was taken care of. It got
That's
beat
fair.
to shit.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I would say that the biggest selling point, I will say, is that one, I will say this publicly because the rental car company is like trying to make it sound like you get a deal when you buy a rental car from them. So there's like this place like rental car sales.
Right.
And they try to sell their cars and they're like, we're getting you a deal because we bought these in bulk. So we're passing along the savings to you. No, they're not.
No.
And it's
Nope,
like,
that's not how that works.
and so it's like, but if you just compare the price of their vehicle to the price of a car on another lot, it's like you can find that same vehicle with that same mileage at the exact same price. And it's like, from their perspective, their selling point is like, yes, but it's had regular service.
That is true.
It's been, if it has been in an accident, it has been immediately taken to the shop.
Yep.
It's been immediately repaired, and it's been repaired the right way.
Right.
Because they have to document every piece of damage
Yes.
that's on that vehicle. And if anything, we were extremely meticulous in how we documented all of our damage on our vehicle. Like there was a lady that returned a car and she ran over. I watched her do it, dude. She ran right over the parking barrier, and then she pulled the car back, and I watched her tear the bottom of that protective shield.
Yep.
I watched it, and I was like, okay. And so I went over there and I looked under the car, and I saw there was a tear in the bumper.
Right.
And then I was like, ma'am, I just saw you do this. The most upset. And that's the craziest thing is like, she was the most upset I've ever seen her. And she had her friend in the car. They were yelling at me that they've never seen, I was the branch manager at the time. They were like, we've never seen anybody look under a rental car. And then she tops it off and she goes, and I was a branch manager myself. And I was like, then you were a very poor branch manager. If you're not,
yeah, there's a reason you ain't doing it anymore, lady.
If you're not gonna verify, like if you're gonna let somebody just slide when you clearly saw them do it, like.
Well, and that says something about people fundamentally, right? Like if I do something, I definitely, my mindset is I'm going to make it right.
Yeah. And
I'm going to own up to it. Everybody makes mistakes, and I'm going to own it.
Well, in a cleared view, I had a camera. I had a clear view of the parking lot.
Right.
Like I was like, ma'am, like I have you on camera. Like, I'm so sorry. It's unfortunate. I get it. It's the end of your trip, but like the bumper is completely torn on the bottom.
Yeah.
Like, I need to file this as like, I either need to file this as a claim on your insurance, or like we need to do like, basically that's the road we're headed down here.
Right.
Unless you purchase, which I will always say, just purchase the damage waiver and just skip all of this conversation.
Yeah.
But it was like, and then she just refused. She was like, I'm not giving you anything. And then she just drove off. And I was like, well, you kind of already gave us your stuff at the counter.
Yeah,
so
we have all your stuff.
Like, we're gonna happen. So it was, but once again, you just, like you said, you just try to be as fair as possible.
Yes.
And you realize it's like, what is it? Faith, family, and money are the three biggest topics to talk about.
Yeah.
So now you're messing with somebody's money.
Yeah.
So it's like, you got to be willing. You really get tough on money conversations as far as you can't, if you want to move up, you got to be ready to go. And you have to, because you have to talk about it the right way. Like it is a sensitive topic.
Yeah.
So, but you have to be really good at talking about money. But you can't be afraid of talking about money.
No.
With your clients.
And all three of those, well, family not as much, but faith and money definitely, and politics, right? Those are the taboo subjects.
Mm-hmm.
Which is like money to me is an exchange of energy, right? End of the day. I do banking, I do coaching, I do the podcast. I would, if I could, probably not charge for coaching.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I am providing a service. There is value there. It's an exchange of energy. And so I have a price.
Yeah. Well, and people are looking for experience. So if you can put it at a decent price for somebody, it's all about the value you provide, right? Like,
totally that. Well, and like my brother, he's a personal trainer. And so he would build my workouts. And
your brother's John? Holy cow.
Right, yeah.
John's a guy in our business connections group.
Yes. And he, fantastic. And I am using him as a
John.
personal trainer as well. So I have both my brother building me workouts and then I go do in person with
Now
John.
we're going to get in trouble by all the other people who listen to this in our business connections group. They're going to be like, why didn't you shout me out? Everybody is great. We love you all.
Yes.
There we go.
Only the people that have been on here get shout outs. So Emily, Mike, Terry, Brittany. Brittany yelled at me the other day for not saying that. Were you there?
Yeah.
She was like,
dude, I make all of them.
But so my brother, and I'm like, I'm your brother, right? He goes, yeah, I'm charging you $100 a month. I'm like, why? He goes, because if you pay for something, you're going to value it more.
Yeah.
And you're going to take it serious. Like, oh yeah, that's a really good point.
So back to what we were talking about earlier then, does your landlord charge you pet rent?
Yes, although my wife is a fierce negotiator.
Mm-hmm.
So how does pay for the cat plus a pet deposit?
Mm-hmm.
And then when we went to go get the dog, they were like, yep, you can get a dog, but it's going to be an additional deposit and we're going to up your monthly stuff. And my wife's like, I don't know how she pulled it off. Didn't have to do either.
She didn't have to pay a deposit or...
No.
Well, she probably registered it as an emotional support animal or service animal.
I don't think she did. I think I grew up in the car business.
Mhm.
I get taken advantage of so hard. Oh, and like I've gotten better at it.
That sounded like the beginning of a Disturbed song right there. That laugh.
When I went to go get the 4Runner, we were up in Anacortes, well, Burlington, and that's where my dad had his car dealership where I had worked. And
So you thought you were going to walk in and you're like, I'm just going to get a deal.
No, not even that.
Okay.
So I'm looking around. I know that I need something with a third row. There's 3 4Runners in that area that had one. And so I go to one dealership. Oh, it doesn't actually have a third row. You guys are liars. Thanks. Maybe actually list what your vehicle has correctly on your sales thing.
What's that movie where he's like, liar?
I don't remember. But
Oh,
yes.
it's Harry Potter, right? Like that's one of the Harry Potters.
Is
Like,
it?
liar.
Oh,
Like,
yeah. You needed the accent.
Yeah. My bad.
So
I can't do a very good British accent, so I was hesitant on that one. It goes
bad.
straight into Australian if I try that. It does.
I mean, they're close.
I've tried it, and
I have
a friend that's from
former
Britain.
British. Oh yeah.
Yeah, she'd get drunk and she would get inebriated, as she would call it, and then her English accent would come out. It's the best thing ever. And it was like I hung out with her we're still close friends to this day. So we've been friends since 2012, so like 13 years.
Yeah.
And I still can't nail it. It's always it just always goes straight into Australian. I do have my good days.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, much like
Now, do you need to be inebriated to have it be a better day, or do you just?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't think about it as much probably,
yeah.
but it's like, I was listening to an impersonator and he was like, you just start with a word and then you can work towards it. Cause like you can, and then eventually you just get better and better at it.
Right.
So it's like, right. Like you can start hello. Like, but see,
Oh,
here's
yeah,
the
that was
thing.
Australian.
But
Yeah,
see
yeah.
how it goes into
Yeah.
it. But like,
Yeah.
you can get Australian really easily.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
and I don't
That's
want to.
good.
Thank you. Like, I can work my way in and out of that because I've done it so many times that like you don't really think about it. And I used to use it as an improv bit where I used to talk like this. Oh, I had a great Steve Irwin bit where I basically whatever scene I was in, I would be Steve Irwin, and then it was derived off of a South Park bit where I would, no matter what happened in the scene, I would turn into Steve. Like as soon as I hit Steve Irwin, everybody knew in the improv troupe what was about to go down.
Yeah.
And it was always the same thing, which was somebody would be doing something. And then eventually I got another guy to get into it. And it was me, Steve Irwin. And then it was my nephew, Chad. The whitest name we could find.
Yeah.
And he was the guy holding the camera.
Yeah.
And it was my buddy Albert Olszewski. And he would hold the camera like this was holding the camera. Like he would hold basically his hand up to his face. And he'd pretend he was holding a camera. And he was always his go-to phrase was, I'm scared, Steve. And then I'd be like, quiet. I like, Chad, back to me. Now back to him. Now back to me. Now close up on me. All right. And then it would always weave into where I would be like, somebody would be doing the dishes. I'd be like, all right, my wife's doing the dishes. You know, I'm going to sneak up to her and I'm going to stick my thumb up a butthole. Like it was always that. Or it was like, I'm going to, or it would just be like, you give me a scene, anything where it was just like something random. You'd be like, all right, this guy's pumping gas at the gas station. I'm going to sneak up on him and I'm going to stick my thumb up its butthole. and then I would crab walk over with the thumb up. And then I would and then eventually they would turn and I go, oh. And they go, hey, what are you doing? And I go, oh, he's angry. Oh, he's angry. And then I go, I'm gonna start by poking him with a stick. And that's when Chad would jump in and he'd be like, I'm scared, Steve. I'd be like, calm down, Chad.
Okay, so wait, you did improv?
I did do improv. Yes.
Okay,
I did.
tell me more.
Miss it terribly. I was part of 2 improv troupes while I was, and I have to be accurate now because I'm on record. So it's like I was in 2 improv troupes with the amount of time that I was in. One of them I was in for 2.5 years, and the other one I was in for 1.5 years. One was called Cow Tipping Comedy. That was they were both in Helena, Montana. They were local to, shout out dogs barking in the window. They were local to Helena, Montana. I had just taken an improv class, and I thought, I grew up watching Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Oh yeah.
So like, my big thing was I always wanted to do something like that.
Yep.
Like I knew I could.
Did you
I
go
just
see him
need
when
to
they
know
were in
how to
Spokane like
do
6
it.
months ago?
Huh?
Did you go see him in Spokane like 6 months ago?
I did not.
Oh,
I did
I
not.
almost did.
I think it literally conflicted with something was the reason I couldn't go.
Oh.
But like I always see people mess with these mics, by the way, and this is so fascinating. I thought I wouldn't be that guy, but now I'm totally that guy.
You're
Like,
right there.
you keep pulling it back and forth, and I hate it when people do that because they just like they'll pull the mic back and forth, and I'm like, could you just leave it where it is? And then, like, but the thing is, okay, so to keep on track, essentially was like, I had taken an improv comedy class, a class, my sophomore year of college, and I got to say that was probably like the best thing I've ever done. Is because one of the best things I've ever done.
I was going to say
married,
your wife's
so I have to toss that one.
She's
I
not
have
going
to
to be
toss
very
that one
happy
in there
hearing that
for sure.
Yeah.
And no, that was definitely the best thing I ever done. Man, she is amazing. But one of the best things I've ever done is this improv comedy class, and I think she would also like her hearing me say that. She'd be like, for sure, is that I learned from a guy who was down in Hollywood, and like he was in LA at the peak of like Robin Williams and who was John Waters was a gentleman's name. John Waters. The stories, I didn't really know that name until I talked to my professor. And he was like, yeah, Robin Williams was good, but look up John Waters clips, because John Waters was like Robin Williams, one of his mentors.
Oh.
And I believe he was on Rick and Morty, and feel free to fact check me on any of this. And he essentially, like, there's a specific scene where they just improv the whole thing, and John Waters pretended to be a general, and like, did I say Rick and Morty? Is that what I said?
Yeah.
That's, whoops.
I know.
No,
I was like, I don't think that's right.
No, his name was
Morty,
Mindy. Mork and Mindy. Mork and Mindy. That's what it was.
Yeah.
So,
although Rick and Morty's great too.
Rick and Morty's good too. But sorry, Mork and Mindy, and they do a scene where John Waters is I really hope I'm not saying his name wrong this whole time. But is like a general. Go for it. Is like a general, and then Robin Williams is like, they're both in the trenches and they just go back and forth, and you can totally see their brains play off of each other, and it's absolutely amazing. A real quick story about him is that, like, to show you the extent of this guy, is that my professor was in, as he tells it, he was in a group of people, and this guy John Waters, they're all talking, and they know John is going to come in, and I believe it was some sort of either movie or something that he was working on, and the director was like, he goes, okay, John's going to come in here, nobody say anything to him, because if you say one thing, or if you don't look at him, if you look at him or you say one thing, he will go off and he's not going to stop. Like, he will make us laugh, but we have to get stuff done.
Yeah.
Like, and
good
so,
luck.
Oh, dude, best thing ever. So like what ends up happening is that, as it is told to me, is that they're all in a circle. John comes in. They all literally look at the ground, and they're like looking at the ground, and they're not acknowledging him, and they're like barely talking to each other.
Yeah.
Right? So he comes in. He's completely quiet. He looks at them, and then he just leaves. And they're all confused, because they were like, he's got to do, like, he was going to say something to somebody, like,
right.
And they're concerned now. They're like, did we hurt his feelings or anything? And so they're kind of like, they start chatting it up, and they're like quietly chatting. Well, they were in like a split level kind of building, so that you got like 4 feet of concrete all the way around them.
Yeah.
But then there's windows up above that, and it's obviously like ground level windows, right? So they're chit-chatting with each other, and then all of a sudden they look up. John fucking Waters has found a janitorial outfit that he has stolen from the janitor's closet, and he is now proceeding to wash the windows outside of the building and stare at them as he does it. It's the best thing I've ever envisioned in my own head that I wasn't a part of. I was like, this is awesome.
Oh, that's so good.
And he was, obviously, like I said, he was a big influence to Robin Williams.
Yeah.
So,
well, see,
absolutely insane.
So I love this, because you are like, you walk into a room and you like read the social dynamic, you know how to lighten the mood. You are so socially adept that it's really fun to watch you be
Thanks.
Do you, right? And
it's a learned skill. It can be learned, just an FYI.
yeah, well, but then like there's, I mean, we could even name some people in our group. I'm not going to name names.
Don't name people.
Where that is not the thing that's going to happen.
Not good context.
Right. Or just like anybody in the world, right? You go, oh man, he is the driest.
Even if you say something good, by the way, we will get torn apart.
Oh, we'll totally get torn apart. But there's a social awareness and a ability to communicate to other people that when you can bring in some brevity, when you can, it's not taking life seriously, but it's like, guys, we can have fun.
Dude, I'm gonna show up. Let me know when you post this. I'm gonna show up at the next meeting in a janitorial costume, and I'm gonna see who actually listened to this podcast.
Oh, it's gonna be
great.
John Waters.
They're gonna,
yeah, it'll be great.
Yeah.
Okay, so 2 troops, one for 2.5 years, the other one for.
The one was for 2.5 years, and the other one was,
and that was the Water Buffaloes. What did you say? What was
their
name?
Cow Tipping Comedy. That's what it was.
That's a great name.
Just because it is bugging the hell out of me. So
you're pulling it up.
I am going to make sure that I am saying no. John Waters is such a no. Okay, hold on.
Fired.
No, John. I
Fired.
think if it's who I am. No. John Waters, an American film and actor. No, this is the guy that like, I think he stuck a hamster up his ass. I think.
Could you imagine being the doctor in the emergency room?
Dang
like,
it.
what the hell? You did what? Have you ever seen those? The different insertions that people have, and you're just like,
oh, in their anus? Yeah, 100%.
How did you get Buzz Lightyear up there?
For
bro?
the viewers, though, I have to look this guy up. So, Robin Williams, mentor. There we go. Okay. Who was Robin Williams' mentor? Jonathan Winters. Winters. I was so damn close. It's Winters and Waters. Oh my God,
right?
though. But the whole time I was talking about a guy that shoved a hamster up his ass. But it's John Winters. It's John Winters.
So now it's going to be even better when you show up to our group and you're in a janitorial suit and you're kind of wiggling a little bit. I'm going to be like, oh, you're pulling off both characters.
Here's what I'm going to do is I'm going to show up in a janitorial suit and you won't understand where it's attached to, but I will have a string of floss that's coming out of the bottom of my right pant leg. That's what's going to happen. That's what I'll do. 100%.
Oh,
like,
no.
I would totally like it. It'd be so worth it. It would be very worth it. I gotta find a janitorial outfit.
You do.
But yeah, no. It's my Jonathan Winters Waters costume. And then I already have my Halloween costume. But nobody would get it. Nobody would get it. And I would have to send them the podcast and I'd have to make them. I'd be like, wait till the 27th. I promise.
It's totally worth it.
And then if they didn't listen to it, I'm like pulling it. I'm that guy that's pulling it up at the party. And I'm like, wait. I'm like, I promise this has context. Listen to this entire 5-minute story and then hear how I fucked it up the whole time.
Yeah.
And then you'll understand my outfit. And by the time they're too drunk to any Halloween party you go to. They're just too drunk and they're just like, that's great. I love it.
Yeah.
You're like, that's exactly the laugh I was looking for. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
you didn't leave a hole in my soul at all. Not at all.
It does kind of, well, okay. So how did you deal with that?
Because I deal with what?
So like I was just listening to Rogan talk to somebody about various comedians, right? As he does because he's a comedian.
Mm-hmm.
And right, you get up there and he was talking about some famous comedian that was showcasing, got up there and 200 people just left. Like his bit was not working.
Yeah.
And that happens.
Yeah. Oh yeah. What, you looking for a story here?
Yeah, I need some kind of story.
Yeah.
Because all this improv, you definitely had to have times where it was not hitting.
So one thing that's really interesting is definitely it's all about reading the room, right?
Yeah.
So it's very, and sometimes you're just put in weird situations. I haven't had an audience member leave yet because of what I've said. I have watched people leave because of what other people said. Because and that's when you go, ooh, like as an improv artist, you're like, ooh, man. And that's when people try to justify it. They're like, yeah, but it's dark humor. Not everybody's going to get dark humor. And that's totally cool. You can be
Right.
dark humor. But the
Yeah.
problem is we were talking about like, we were at a kitten adoption agency and you just decided to twist its head off in the middle of the scene. Like, and you thought that'd be funny.
Oh no.
You thought that'd be funny.
Yeah.
Or you basically took it completely out of context and you were like, we were at a kitten adoption center and then you decided to tell an abortion joke. It's like, it doesn't make,
No.
it's not going to, especially in a conservative town like Montana, like Helena, Montana, like you are not going to hit that in the audience at any time.
You have to know your audience.
It was just knowing your audience. The most awkward one that I've been a part of, this is one sad story and one really good story that followed it. So the sad story is basically like, and kind of what you're looking for is when I was part of Cow Tipping Comedy. So, and the other improv troupe, by the way, was called Improv. And it was local to our college. So
Cool.
I took the class, and because I took that class, I got invited to be a part of Improv.
Cool.
Turns out I didn't realize that class is actually a recruiting thing for Improv for the school. And so I actually got recruited out of that class. He was like, if you want to be in this, you're in. And I was like, what do you do? And he goes, we do one show a month and we practice every Sunday. I was like, I can commit to that. Like,
Hell yeah.
Sure. Hell yeah. And I was like, and I love this. And I'll explain a little bit more about, because I didn't get into the meat and potatoes about why it was so influential. And why, and certain little things about it. But the story real quick is basically like what happened was with Cow Tipping Comedy, we got recruited to go to a fundraiser, I guess is what it was called. And it was for a cop that had passed away from a botched, it was either a liver or kidney transplant.
Oh no.
Yeah. And so it was like super sad. And they hired a improv troupe to come to a fundraising event for a cop that had passed away from a botched liver or kidney transplant. Let's say that again, just so people can understand the gravity of the situation. And I'm not done.
Oh no.
They had a stage set up with all the tables looking at us, but they decided to have a silent auction. And it was a 2-story room, where the middle part of the second story is cut out.
Yeah.
And in the upper section, they have all the silent auction stuff up there. And I'm not saying this wasn't a great idea, but I am saying, because it raised a lot of money, but what I am saying is that having an improv troupe for this was not apropos, because and there was like the person that introduced us just didn't know, like, he couldn't read the room. And it's like, how do you introduce an improv troupe in the middle of something like this? And it's like somebody had literally just given a speech where they were like, Officer Williams, or, I can't remember his name, unfortunately, right now, but they were like, he was a great person. And they go into that. And it was like a 5-minute, like, he was a great person. We're so glad to have everybody here for his loving memory. And now it's time for Cow Tipping Comedy. And you're just like,
everybody's
but
down,
minus
somber,
the upbeat on the tone. And now it's time for Cow Tipping Comedy. Like, it was like not even, and I was like, dude. So you have people walking around like they don't care because they're bidding on stuff upstairs, and they're silent auction, and they're writing their bids down. And then everybody downstairs is like, they're all seated at their these round tables. Well, they're probably not, half of them, I guarantee you, are not an improv troupe kind of like, I'll go see them on a Wednesday night at a brewery kind of people.
Right.
And so we have to go up and we have to perform for all these people. So we're playing a classic game called like 168, where you're like, 168 so-and-sos walk into a bar. And the bartender says, you so-and-sos can't be in this bar. And they say, punchline, when you get out, right?
Yeah.
We literally played that game, and we played one more game, and we were out. 10 minutes. It was the most 10 awkward minutes. And I wasn't even on for the last 5 minutes of it. It was insane.
See, that's one of those where,
and I had some zingers, man. Like I was doing everything I could in that 168 game to try and get people to laugh. But half the people were talking at their tables, and that's no fault to them. But they're just like, they weren't here for a comedy show.
Setting, unless it was like Officer Williams loved improv. Comedy was a big part of his life.
168 Officer Williams walk into a bar.
Right. Like maybe there's a connection
You're
there.
Just like,
like when I die. Right. I want my memorial, it needs to be a party. My buddy's already going to dress up as the Death Reaper. Right. Like, nice. I want it to be like puppies and rainbows and a party. Yeah, I'm dead, but whatever. Who cares, right? Like maybe even have a voice recording in my coffin that all of a sudden starts playing. Like, holy shit, he's still alive,
That'd be
right?
hilarious.
Like I want
it just farts.
I want the most
Dude,
ridiculous.
could you do one where you open the coffin, you're not even in there, but it's just as you open the coffin,
and then adding that to the list.
and then they wheel out your body that's been embalmed, but you're in like a straitjacket, and they're like, "Is he or is he not?"
Oh
like,
my
So here's the thing,
yes.
really quick, before
Perfect.
we get too far off of it, though, is like here's the cool thing that happened because of that. Like, there's a yin and it. I think there's a really big thing to like karma, and there's a big yin and a yang,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So it's like I did that worst show of my life, not like I said, just for me, because it was just like, once again, these people aren't here to see this.
Right.
So context wise, the worst show of my life.
Yeah.
But made me feel good that I gave it a good attempt for this
Totally.
officer. I gave it 125%. Like it was insane. And so what happened was, I am not joking you. It was, I want to say 2-3 weeks later. It's the wintertime. And I am driving. I have an old Dodge Dakota that I'm driving around Helena, Montana. It's 10 o'clock at night. I want to say I was in that house. So I'm 21 years old. And there's this one street in Helena, Montana. Anybody that lives there knows it. It was right behind the church. And there's 15 of them, but it's behind
It's behind
the white church on Ewing Street in Helena, Montana. Just so those people who are listening can get the reference.
Yep.
But it's always been 30, and it should be a 35. I will stand by this, but it is 30 miles an hour. I end up going. I'm down the street. Once again, it's like 10 o'clock at night, and I'm driving 38 and 30.
Okay.
I go down the street, and all of a sudden, I see a cop come the other way. He apparently had his radar on, flips around, pulls me over. And he goes, like, he comes up and he goes, "Can I see your license and registration?" And I go, "Yeah." And so I hand it to him. And he gives me the whole, like, "Do you know how fast you were going?" And I go, "Yeah." I was like, "I'm not sure," because I don't want to incriminate myself.
Right.
And so I was like, "I'm not sure. I'm trying to do the speed limit." I was like, but I go, "I'm not entirely sure." And, just trying to be as polite and courteous as possible.
Yep.
And, but not incriminate once again, but not incriminate myself.
Right.
And he goes, "Well, the speed limit's 30 and I clocked you doing 38. And this was the phrase that saved me. And I go, and he goes, I kind of give him a look, and he goes, "Do I know you from somewhere?" And I go, "Oh, this is my chance, huh?" And so I look at him and I go, "I don't know." I go, "You might have known me." I go, "But I did just do a benefit for a cop that passed away from a botched organ transplant." I go, "I was part of the improv troupe." I go, "So you might have seen me there." And he just looks at me, and he goes, and then walks away to his car and then walks back, and he hands me my stuff, and he goes, "All right." He goes, "Just keep in mind it's 30. You have a good rest of your night." And he just let me go.
That was it.
And that is one of the most ticketed streets in Helena, Montana. I forgot to add the build to that story.
Yeah.
It's literally one of the most ticketed streets.
It's the
if you get caught on that street, you get
You're
a ticket.
done.
You get a ticket. And like he walks back, and I was like, I did that show for a reason.
For a
like
reason,
100%.
totally worth it,
I totally did that show for a reason.
Oh man.
Coolest cop. And then ended up where, now I've got a friend who's a cop over in Helena. And so, I got friends all across the spectrum, which is, I love that. And
I know we're totally deviating and we're going to come back, but did you grow up in Montana?
No, but a big portion of my family is from Montana. At one
Okay.
point, my great-great-grandfather, might be great-great-great-grandfather, owned the biggest sheep ranch in Montana.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So he actually, there's a place over there that actually bought him out. And now that land is now a giant Rock Creek Cattle Company. They actually bought my grandfather's land.
Oh.
And they turned it into a giant cattle farming ranch. And then they're building they built one of the apparently the world's best golf courses over there.
Oh.
And they're building multi-million-dollar homes across that golf course.
That's wild.
And people fly. It's in Deer Lodge, Montana.
Okay.
And people fly in there literally just to go play golf with executives and stuff. It's one of those.
So I didn't know this until talking to Terry.
But there's a street, real quick. There's a street that's named after my
Oh,
my great great grandfather on there, and his
that's
business
cool.
partner. It's a cross section.
Ah,
really
nice.
cool.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Terry's folks were sheep, and I think it was cows. What? But one, like her dad was sheep, her mom came from, I think it was cows. And like the competition on that, like because it's grazing land, it's all the other things. So it was like, so the two of them coming together, it was like Romeo and Juliet, like you did to the two feuding families.
Yes, Juliet, are you with me? I have cows and you have the sheep, babe.
That was good.
But it's like no. So the guy that shook my grandfather's hand and partnered with him, he actually had a specific breed of sheep that could produce wool at a faster rate.
Yeah.
And that was and he was like, I have these like French, he was a Frenchman. And he's like, and I have these French sheep that produce at a faster rate. And he was like, I'll go into partners. You have the land, I have the sheep. I'll go in partners.
Brilliant.
With you. And that's how it ended up.
Isn't that crazy?
And then the grandchildren so it would be my great great grandfather.
Okay. Yeah.
Or it would be my great grandfather.
Yeah.
Because my grandma and her siblings, when my great grandfather passed away, didn't want to, none of them wanted to run the ranch.
No.
So essentially it was just like, they
have all this
basically,
land,
they
what
were
do you do
like,
with it?
just buy us out. And so they kind of bought them out. And now I look at it and I'm literally like, every time I drive past that cattle company, I'm like, all that land is my family's land.
Yeah.
Like, but then again, I'm white, so it's like not really my family's land.
I was gonna say,
right? Like at one point it was ours. Like at one point it was ours, and at one point it was somebody else's. Like it's a real humbling experience when you're like, "That's my land," and then you're like, "Not really."
Never mind.
I leased it for a while.
yeah, exactly that.
Like So it's very much it's like an anger thing, but then it puts it in perspective, and you're just like, all right, nah.
Well, and everything, right?
Yin and
we
yang,
get
right?
so consumerist, right? This, I want this stuff. I have this thing. Okay, but you can't take any of it with you. And was it yours in the first place? And I mean, that's a whole like philosophical thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But then I have a friend his famous phrase is, "It's just money."
It's just money.
I'm like, yeah, but you got 3 kids. Like,
yeah.
He's the same guy that'll never buy a house and he wants to rent for the rest of his life. He's like, yeah, it's just money.
It's just money. Yeah.
But
okay, so I want to come back to money because we talked a little bit
Yes?
yesterday morning about your journey with student loan debt and all that.
I hope you have to do the most voice editing you've ever had to do on a freaking mic. It's gonna be great.
This is all AI. I'm gonna make it work its ass off. Yeah.
Hi AI, I'm DIN. You're the middle of my name.
Yeah, that's a damn good point.
Yeah, maybe I'm a robot. Who knows? Yeah. This is not me. This is an AI voice. It's all a disguise. This is your first try at trying to get. This is your first try at like trying to get AI integrated. So you just typed in like kid that used to do improv into your
it spits out Dain.
Yeah.
Plop.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so but you were saying.
Go ahead and try AI. You can't.
Improv is the second most important thing that's ever happened to your life besides marrying your wife.
Yep.
So other than I took you down the road of craziness, why was it important? How did it change you? How did it shape you?
Because it was like, it was everything that I was looking for and like at the time. And I think that everyone in their life should do 2 things. I think that at one point in your life, you should work in a service industry.
Amen.
Like you should work for as a waiter or waitress or in catering or at concessions at a stadium.
Yep.
Somewhere.
Retail.
Do that.
Yeah.
Even if you were born and raised into money where you already have like billions of dollars.
Yep.
Understand how you got that money and where it really comes from.
Yep.
And then the second thing is I think everybody should take an improv class.
Oh, okay.
You don't have to do it for long.
Surprised sex wasn't one of those. You should do the sex.
You should do the sex. You should go for it, man. Some people are asexual though, so it's like, all right, you do you. Like, sure. They just poke their own belly button, and that's what gets it for them. Like they're like, nope, nothing here. Still, like I'm still poking my belly button. There's nothing. Yeah. But ooh, I can just make the Pillsbury do, huh? Like that's all I get out of that. And so but you should take an improv class, if not for like, you don't have to take it for an extended amount of time, but you should take it for however long the course goes, however long the instructor deems that the course needs to go. Yeah. Usually they only go for a couple weeks.
Okay.
The reason
that's not bad.
Yeah. The reason for that is because it will give you so many more skills in life. We're all trying to sell ourselves. Like at one point you're going to have to sell yourself in your job,
Right.
even if you work as an introvert alone in your house. You're going to have to sell your boss is going to come to you at one point, or you're going to have to go to your boss for a raise, and you're going to have to realize how to chit chat about that raise, or they're going to talk to you about your workload and they're going to double your workload.
Yep.
And you have to sell why you think you shouldn't get your workload doubled, or why you think you should get a raise because your workload is doubled.
Totally.
Congratulations, you're now in a sales opportunity. And the invaluability of learning the phrase yes and is so incredible.
Oh, yeah.
And it also teaches you the social awareness, and it teaches you how to pick up vocal cues.
Yes.
So there's so many different things that you get from that. And it was just having it come, especially in my sophomore year of college, was absolutely nuts. Because I made a goal my sophomore year of college that I was going to know everybody in my class.
Oh.
So I had 168 kids that I graduated with at Moscow Senior High School.
Okay.
And I pretty much knew all those kids. I was quite the opposite of what I am now. Like I was very, very much like same core values, still wanted to help people. But I watched a lot of old comedians, and I hesitate to say we didn't have, but my family wasn't the family that we wouldn't buy a subscription to HBO to watch the new Daniel Tosh special come out.
Right.
We would wait until it came out on Comedy Central, like 2, 3, 4 months later, and then we'd watch it then.
Right.
So everybody would be talking about the latest comedy special stand-up, and I'm like, hey, you want to hear about Johnny Carson? Like, it doesn't compute.
Yeah,
so I was just
the
like,
classics still work.
everybody was here, I was here, and it was just, it just sucked because it was like, I wasn't, and I'm still kind of this way to this day, but it was just I didn't have an interest in being in the know about what certain celebrities were wearing or doing.
Right.
And so sometimes it's funny, so I'll still check in. But anything can be funny. So it was like having that disconnect, but I still knew everybody in my class because I never wanted to have we had a kid that shot himself in his car. And it was like, I knew that was a big eye opener for me, because it was like, wasn't having the best time in high school, and still kind of, I think everybody goes through depression. I think it's not exclusive. I think at one moment in your life, you're going to go through it.
Totally.
Especially in high school when your hormones are up and down. It's just part of it.
Yep.
But
and that feeling of loneliness.
I knew he didn't have a lot of friends.
Yeah.
So I made it a point where it was, I might not be the most popular kid in school, but I'm going to know everybody from that point forward, and just kind of be able to not check in, but just be there, and then it was like, that was really when I got into studying faces. I just didn't know that it was going to be a beneficial thing for me later in life.
Right.
And so I'm listening to all this old comedy. I'm watching Whose Line Is It Anyway? I'm studying faces, but I don't know how to use context clues yet. I have no social awareness. So high school sucked. And then I went to college, and the cool thing is nobody knew me. Like, it's a complete fresh start.
It's a reset. Yeah.
It's a complete, and the fact that I was in football, so I got there a month before everybody else. So I kind of got the lay of the land of the campus before anybody got there. And then I got to be the person that
Whoever
I actually wanted to be.
Yep.
Because as you grow up, you do one thing, and then people say, like, that's who you are.
Yep.
That's who you are. That's who you are. And I went to college, and I go, nobody gets to tell me who I am anymore.
Yeah.
I get to tell people who I am.
Yeah.
And so I completely flip-flopped, basically, if my personality, like, it was absolutely insane what I did looking back on it, but it wasn't really flip-flopping. It was just being
more intentional.
It was just like being who I actually am.
Yeah.
And I can be that person and not have pre-existing judgments.
Yes.
So people can see me for what I'm actually doing, rather than being like, I know you, and you're just doing this, and this is weird.
Right.
And people can see me and they can go,
You're
they
your
go,
sister's
you're that
younger
guy.
brother. You're your father's son.
Yeah.
You're any of that stuff.
Oh, and now all of a sudden you're that guy. Like you're the guy that is good for, a smile. You're a guy that's good to talk to about, where do I need to go to get food?
Yeah.
And so
Cool. I love how you were conscientious about that.
Oh, and I did everything I could. I knew first floor, second floor, and then I got up to third, and then I didn't get as far as I wanted in the third floor, but damn, I got real close because we had 3 floors in our dorm room freshman year, and I got real close to knowing everybody, and it was split guys and girls. It was a like L-shaped building, L-shaped building, and guys were on one side, and girls were on the other side, and so
nice.
I did not go, I will say, I did not go into the girl side like a creep and knock on doors. But if there was somebody, I was that guy, like if there was somebody sitting alone at lunch, then I would go over and I ask politely. I go, hey, are you trying to sit alone or do you mind if I sit down and chit chat with you? Because I haven't sat down anywhere either.
Yeah.
And I feel that's very kind of breaks down that wall, and they know that it's like, hey, I'm not trying to hit on you. Like I'm just trying, or, I'm not looking for anything out of this other than a conversation.
Right.
And if you don't want that, that's completely fine.
Yes.
And so,
well, and there's something amazing about that honesty and that open communication that, man, that takes the assumption out of it. And it just, have you ever read the 4 Agreements? So one of them is don't assume anything.
Yeah.
Right. And
except
so,
the sale. I know you want to buy this.
That's right. And the first point is, I'm going to butcher it, but it's clear communication. It's choose your words impeccably, right? Like make sure that what you're trying to communicate.
Impeccably.
Right?
Several syllables on that sucker. Yeah. It's almost like indubitably.
Indubitably.
Close enough.
But that's, I mean, and one of the things that I always have running through my head is people fundamentally want to be seen and heard, right?
Yeah.
So like this kid that ended up shooting himself in the car, probably not feeling seen or heard.
Oh, not at all.
Right. And so you end up going out and I'm going to make sure that one, I'm communicating what I actually am trying to get out of it with somebody. And I want to make sure they feel seen and heard.
Yeah. I think that also it was and then it eventually turned into a big lesson of don't overextend yourself. Because the other side of that coin, right, is like, you try and connect with everybody and then you socially overextend yourself. And then that's when once again, we live in such a yin yang society where people are like, help everybody that you can and do all that you can and make sure that you're giving an effort. And especially in like religion, it's like, not a jab, but it just kind of pointing out an obvious thing that's already there is, help everybody be a good neighbor, those values that are taught. And so, and try and help those who are less fortunate than you. So like service, right?
Yep.
But then the other side of the coin, and it definitely comes more in the business side of the spectrum, is people are like, well, you got to take care of yourself. Mental health, make sure you're taking, especially nowadays, it's like, make sure you take care of yourself. You can say no.
Right.
And so it was, you can, but you should still push it. Right. And that was what I learned is that, and I'm very proud of that. I still push it to this day. Like I didn't, nobody has to be here right now. Right. I have people that I can call right now. I have other work, but the difference is I would rather be here and take the time and schedule the time and push it so that I can be there and chit chat with a friend, help build something potentially into something much, much bigger. And it's like, what can one little instance of pushing yourself do for somebody else?
Yes.
Right. So I live on that side of the spectrum.
Yeah.
Push it. Like definitely push it. Realize that there are days even where I tell my wife where I go, I just don't want to talk to anybody right now. And I'm an extrovert, an extreme extrovert, as you probably have picked up on. And like,
no idea. I had no idea.
And there will be times where I tell her that in a very polite tone, and she understands totally, but still being courteous to your partner of like, I'm going to go and I'm going to sit in the basement by myself. And I'm just going to play video games for the next 7 hours because I've been talking to people for 2 weeks straight.
Yes.
And she totally gets that. And then I have learned that I'll say that. And then the best thing that we've done, and it's still kind of a joke to this day, is the most times I've told her that I love her in one day was we were sitting on the couch in our duplex, and she was on handheld Nintendo Switch, and I was playing video games, and for 7 hours straight, we didn't talk to each other. Like I just played my video game. She played her video game. Yeah. And I would just look over and tell her that I loved her, and then I would go back to playing video games. That's so like I'd just smile at her, and then I'd go, "I love you," and then I'd go and I'd play video games again. Yeah. And it's still kind of a famous day in our relationship where she's just like, and that was the moment she really grasped it. And I know that she has, she has those moments too, but where she really grasped it, and she was like, "Oh, even extroverts need alone time."
Yeah,
and they love it. So it's like everybody needs it every once in a while.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Well,
Yeah.
and it's knowing that about yourself.
Yeah.
Right. But I'm with you. I think I said this at ABC the other day, but for the sake of the podcast, I went to UPS to go send off a symbol to get replaced.
Yeah.
And like, how easy is it wherever you are, right? I like that you should work a service industry at least once in your life.
Oh, yeah.
Because they just get shit on.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, if you are having an interaction with another human being, recognize that there's another human being, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, see them, have a conversation. How are they doing?
Mm-hmm.
Check in. And so me and this guy ended up becoming like best friends, right? 15 minutes. I know his backstory. I know his blood type. I know, right? Like, name the thing. And I come out
like, O negative. And if you take me into the back, it can be an O positive. He's like, yeah, buddy.
Yeah. But
he's like, I'm only married for the next he's like, I'm not married for the next 5 minutes if you want to take advantage of it.
I only need 2.5.
Mm-hmm.
But he...
Right when I was drinking water.
You're welcome.
Son of a bitch.
But that's not that hard, right? And that's not going to cost you, at least for us, especially as extroverts, that's not going to cost us any. In fact, it's probably going to energize us. And it energizes the other person. Mm-hmm. But same thing, right? It's so easy, right? I've got 4 kids. I've got a wife. I've got work. I've got all these other things to go. At some point, I just need some me time. It's not even getting away from other people. I just need to connect with me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think
I call it a check-in.
Yeah.
You check in, or my mom had a famous phrase for that, which I love using. I don't know if it has I don't know if this is a real word. I still haven't looked it up to this day. But she called it defragging.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Where you defrag, and it was always just like she'd take her hands and she'd go, "You just need to defrag," and then it's just pulling like that, and it's just like pulling out of your head, and it was like, yeah, that's very appropriate for what I need to do right now.
Yeah.
I just need to defrag.
Yeah.
And so
it's well said.
Yeah. And then you just get rid, because you just ponder, get rid of all that negative stuff, do something that you like, and then just be by yourself and just defrag.
Have you ever had a computer you've had to defrag?
Because
that's probably, I wonder if that's where your mom got it.
I didn't know it was called that.
Because I remember back in the day, you could go to your systems thing and it was a defrag thing, and you could see it just squish down all this extra junk data.
Oh, you're talking about like AOL Messenger days. That's what
you're yeah, back at dial up and how old are you?
Hotmail Messenger, was that what that what was that? MSN Messenger? Is that what that was with the thing?
Yeah.
How old am I?
Yeah.
I'm 31, dog.
Oh, man. Okay. Yeah. Does that mean, you're right on the cusp. Are you young millennial?
I am.
Or old
young
Gen
millennial.
Z?
I'm a young millennial,
okay.
I believe. Because what is it? Like, millennials are technically from, it ends at 1996 or 95.
Yeah.
Everybody has a different scale, but it usually ends at 96, 95, and then it begins at like 1989 or 1985, something like that. Like that's
and that's funny
that's
too.
The generation.
There's almost like another, because I've heard 83 to 97, but then every other variation in there, and it's like, man, do you remember dial-up? Do you remember having a Discman? Do you remember? There's some of those pieces.
An MP3 player that used batteries. Batteries that died in 2.5 days.
It was so bad.
But hey,
that just meant
that thing
you
ripped Boston. That thing, it was more than a feeling to me, Boston. Yes, right. It was.
Oh, I kind of want to bust it out right now.
And then you put it on, and then you get Rush on the next song, and you're like, hell yeah. And then me, because I love stand-up stuff. So it'd be like Boston, then it'd be Rush, and then you get like, right after that, you get some sort of free stand-up comedy that I got off of iTunes just for getting an account.
That had to be just both amazing and terrible.
Web what was his name? Chris. He ran like, it was Tosh.0 before Tosh.0, and it was basically like it was a clips of the internet kind of thing. Oh gosh, he runs The Wall now. He does that game The Wall, and it was basically it was just a giant commentary show, and he would put up funny clips and he would comment on them.
Yeah.
So get that. So imagine this: Rush, and Boston, then Rush, and then this comes on, and he's describing a clip that I can't see, but because he's funny, I've got it in my MP3 player.
Yeah.
And I know the clip. I memorized the clip, so I know what it is.
Oh, yeah.
I know what he's talking about. But if anybody else is listening to this,
They
I'm a
have no
psycho.
freaking idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, why do you listen to this?
I love those obscure references too. And it could be anything, right? Because I am the width and breadth of comedy. It could be like stand-up Eddie Murphy. It could be Johnny Carson. It could be Jim Carrey, Mitch Hedberg. Gosh, I love Mitch Hedberg.
He's good.
Or what's like, name the thing. I'll watch any and all of it. But then I love how that becomes a part of your vernacular, and you'll throw. I mean, you've done it a handful of times already, right? You throw it out there, and if somebody hasn't watched it, they aren't going to get why you're in a janitor's outfit.
Well, here's some, yes, Jonathan Winters. Again, by the way, not Waters, Winters. But yeah, no, some niche ones that you should really, that if you don't know, that you should really watch, especially if you want to kind of like push yourself, is, I was actually thinking about this last night because I knew we'd probably get into comedy stuff, and they deserve more recognition than they're getting right now. I love Maria Bamford. Have you ever heard of her?
No.
Amazing. She does incredible voices.
Okay.
And she's got great satire. As she's gotten, and I think like she is the definition of fine wine and comedy, because as she's gotten older, she's just gotten better and better. And she talks about, a lot of comedians talk about depression and all that stuff, but she's like, I believe if I'm correct, she's like depressed, bipolar, schizophrenic, and she's on medication for all of that.
Holy hell.
Yeah. Awesome. Fantastic. And once again, Maria Bamford, very good to watch. If you want to watch something that's a giant story, like the artwork of it, or the art of coming back to a story.
That is my favorite comedy tool. What did you reference at the beginning? And then 15 minutes later, a half an hour later, at whatever it is, you reference it again. So good.
Have you ever heard of Mike Birbiglia?
Probably.
So Mike Birbiglia, you'll know the album because he's in, I think it's called like Sleepy Time or something like that. But he's in a onesie holding a teddy bear for the album cover. So if you find that album cover, you
grab it.
But his name is Mike Birbiglia.
Okay.
And that specific album, he talks about a car wreck that he was in. He stretches it for an hour. It's absolutely incredible. And by stretch, I don't mean that as like he really has to put. No, he keeps coming back to it.
Right.
And he'll talk about the beginning of the car wreck, and then he'll relate it to his life into different stories and comedic stories, and then he'll come back to the car wreck. And when he comes back, like he's coming back to it. It's so impressive.
So good.
So I stand by that one as somebody should watch, is like, how do you come back to the same story in a really good way? And I will say that I am a huge Robin Williams fan, but also somebody that people don't know is once again that should get more recognition is Christopher Titus is his name.
Oh yeah. I know Christopher Titus.
If you haven't watched specifically Norman Rockwell is Bleeding, if you haven't watched that is one of my top 2 favorite comedy specials of all time.
I've got to get on it then.
I will always put that up there.
Yeah.
Because that is the art of telling a story from beginning to end for an hour.
Yeah.
And he doesn't make you bored. It's incredible. It's the definition of artistry within comedy.
Yeah.
When you go to that album, it's insane. It's absolutely incredible. So,
Where's the? I'm sure you're still watching it. Where is it available?
it's hard to find. It is on YouTube, and because it's hard to find, I saved it as one of my saved videos on YouTube. So
Brilliant.
I can send you the link.
Yes, please.
I don't know. It's been saved for years, so I haven't checked in on it in a little while to see if it still works. But I'm more than welcome to send it to you.
Cool.
But
you said that was top 2. What's the other in the top 2?
Oh, that one varies.
Ah.
But like, that actually might just be my number one because that one just hits so hard. I would say anything that Robin Williams did was the effort behind it, but or the amount of punchlines that he jams into one special is incredible.
Yeah, and sometimes you have to go back and watch clips to be like, oh my, I missed those 3 that he put in there.
Eddie Murphy, because it's the reason that number one varies. I will always mention Christopher Titus, but the reason that number one varies is because it's so there's so much stuff that you can look back on. Essentially, like Robin Williams for the amount of jokes he can cram into one while also doing voices, impressions. Eddie Murphy, once again, his storytelling, I believe it's the Delirious one. Is that where he's wearing the suit?
Yeah.
That one's great. Richard Pryor.
Oh, yeah.
I think that like him being scandalous and dirty at his time, absolutely hilarious. He's absolute gem. George Carlin was fantastic.
Carlin's so good.
And then if you look at Kevin Hart's good, I would say that, and he's a great storyteller as well. But I think one of the most impressive storytellers in our modern day is Dave Chappelle.
Oh, like, Chappelle's so good.
I will watch Dave Chappelle over and over again because of the cadence that he uses, how he can grip you into a story, how he can slow down his tone, he can mean to talk about it, and then he can pick it up and he can immediately slam you with his just the way he says something to bring you into a punchline. Yes. It's what he says and how he says it.
Well, and he can
talk about controversial history while he does it. So you're getting educated without feeling like you're getting educated.
Yes. Well, and that's what comedy is able to do, right? They're able to be the commentary on whatever it is that you can't say in polite society.
Yeah.
But they get to bring it to the forefront. It's so that I think is, besides obviously the feel good and the laughing and but like, oh, we get to talk about that thing. Oh, that's cool.
Well, and you can take the elephant in the room and you can bring it forefront and talk about it.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, certain things. It's like that's how Karen came about. It's just like everybody hates Karens, but nobody's talking about it. And then it became in the forefront of comedy,
right?
And everybody's talking about Karens.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
And
then everybody was like, "Fuck Karens."
Yeah.
Now we can say "fuck Karens."
That's right.
We don't have to deal with her anymore. We can just call her a Karen and get it over with.
I saw Chappelle.
Did you?
Yeah, he came to Taylor Hawkins' memorial concert, and he comes out and
Taylor Hawkins.
Yeah,
you mean the guy that plays a guitar?
A drummer for Foo Fighters.
Oh, okay.
And so memorial concert down at the LA Coliseum, and for me as a drummer, it was like a smorgasbord of drummers. They had everybody from Tommy Lee to Danny Carey to Matt, like everybody. And all of a sudden, Chappelle comes out on stage smoking a joint. And he sang something. I can't.
Something?
I think I have. I'll have to show you when we're offline.
Yeah, show me that later.
But he's the same thing, right? Like even just
My
in that
eyes
like
can't get
brief,
brighter.
he is a presence. Like he's amongst all these people, and Chappelle comes on, and you're like, oh, it's Chappelle. Yeah. He has really good presence.
Yeah, I think that was. I'm trying to remember the exact phrase, but that was one of the best compliments that I got when I was in towards my end of my college career. I had somebody that came up to me because I was bebopping, I was in 2 improv comedy troupes. I was bebopping all the time. It was so much fun. And I
did not know you had bebopping skills.
And you just chit chat and want to make people laugh. And so it's also how you carry yourself. And so, but this guy came up to me and he goes, "You don't walk into a room." He goes, "You enter a room."
Oh.
And I was like,
yeah.
He was like, you, and I was like, that's cool. and he goes, you know how like Obama doesn't just walk into a room, like when he gets out of a car, he gets out of a car in a specific way, and he presents himself into a room.
Yep.
He was like, that's kind of your level.
Yeah.
And whether I do that now or not, awesome.
No, it's true.
But I was like, that's
There's
awesome.
people that sneak in at EBC, and I'm like, when the fuck did they get in here?
Yeah.
You come into the room, and I'm like, Dain's here.
And I think that, and if you have it, that's how you should be.
Yeah.
You should provide a positive energy to the room. My biggest thing was that I think everybody should, the service industry, right? But I was told one time when I was younger, and I was by my high school football coach. And I didn't think I'd ever be that guy that was like, my coach said this one day, and I never forgot it. And I'm from Montgomery, Alabama. But I am from Georgia. I love Mark Twain. I was told when I was younger, because we had I think it was like a hard practice or something the day before. Everybody was just exhausted. And we were watching film early in the morning. And he shut off the film, and he could tell that we were all tired, but we were all in good spirits. But he comes up to the front of the room, and he was like, "Gentlemen, there's something that you need to know." And he goes, "There's a lot of stuff that goes on in the world." He goes, "There's so many things that we can't control." He goes, "If you name anything, you probably can't control it." He goes, "But there are two things that you are guaranteed to control throughout your entire life. And these are the only two things that you can control, and you need to remember this. The two things that you can control are your attitude and your effort. So have a good attitude and put in 100% effort. Everything else, you're not going to be able to do anything. But those are the two things that you can control."
I'm getting chills.
Let's have a great practice.
So good.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so I think of that, and where it's just like, I went through this the other day. I'm trying to actually sell one of my rental properties, and we're having an issue with the foundation right now. And the guy that did the foundation inspection basically was like, "I'm not going to approve this unless you do this specific thing." And I'm like, "Well, do you have a contact? Because I don't have the money to do what you're asking me to do. I really don't. And if you're asking me to do that and I can't afford it, the sale falls through for the second time."
Right.
This has been a nightmare, dog.
Oh,
and so,
gross.
it's no fault of the buyers. Like, they're very motivated and they want to buy the property, and I want to sell it to them.
Yeah.
And they don't care about what these guys are calling out. They really don't. And granted, it's like, okay, but that's why they're in their job and they do their profession.
Right. Yeah.
But so this guy's over the phone is telling me, you have to do this thing. And it's always a good self check-in, right? Because he goes, "You have to do this thing, otherwise I won't sign off on it." And he didn't have an aggressive tone or anything. He was like, you have to.
Matter of fact.
Yeah. And I go, "Okay, well, I've talked to some people, and they've given me some egregious quotes to do what you're telling me to do. Do you have anybody that
Right.
you know?"
Yeah.
And he goes, "Yeah, actually I do." And he gave me two phone numbers of two people that I haven't ever contacted before on this. And I was like, okay. I go, "Well, now I have a direction," right?
Yep.
And I go, "I have a direction. I appreciate you." I would go, "This is more than I had when I entered into this phone call. And so thank you." And he goes, I just want to say I appreciate your attitude about all of this." And it was like,
Cool.
I was like, hell yeah,
Yeah.
on the inside. But on the outside, it was like, well, yeah, that's what you're supposed to do.
Yes.
I could yell at this guy for sure. Oh, I have so many things that I could say to this gentleman.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't help my
It
situation.
doesn't help.
Doesn't help my situation.
And it's not going to make him want to help you anymore.
And I need this guy on my team. That's
Yeah,
the thing,
exactly.
Is I don't know. Maybe he goes to bed tonight and then he wakes up the next morning and he thinks of something different or a different way to help me.
Yeah.
And he's like, he could probably do this instead, and it wouldn't cost him as much money.
Yep.
Whereas if I would have yelled at him, he'd go, "Fuck that guy." Like,
Right.
so
Totally.
And so it's like, not only was it a good check-in for me, but also it's where you're just like, okay, make sure that you're not an a-hole, I guess. So that's back to the good check-in, but it's like, it's good to, it's like, okay, this continues the relationship, excuse me. Is
Totally.
what I was going
Well,
for.
and I don't understand the burning
positive
bridges with
relationship.
anybody and everybody unless that bridge got to get flay that sucker.
Exes.
Right. Yeah. Yes. But you
Okay.
gave the example of the cop not giving you a ticket.
Yeah.
You were respectful. Didn't incriminate yourself. You had done something in their community that was helpful a couple weeks earlier.
Mm-hmm.
You're nice to this guy, even though he's giving you bad news. Like,
Yeah.
shit happens,
Mhm.
but you can control your attitude and your effort.
It's all you can control.
Yep.
Your couch tomorrow, your futon that's in this room right now, I'm calling you out, but it's a best looking futon I've seen, actually. I'll give you credit for that. But that futon, the leg could fall off of it tomorrow. And you can either,
not.
and you could get pissed about it, or you can just screw the leg in,
Right,
and call it a day.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I've had it for 20 years and it still looks great, but I'm surprised it didn't do that earlier.
Totally. Well, it's that whole, I've always had the go with the flow mentality,
Mhm.
right? It's the yin and yang thing that you've been talking about.
The yin and yang.
That's the right
The
way to
yin
say
and
it.
her.
It's the non-white
like a
way
bus.
of yin and yang.
Yeah.
It's right. Like if we, this is where I
Do the Roadrunner.
yeah.
So
I've diverted on
Go
the
cow.
like the religion side of things, right? Like
yeah.
one of my big
interrupting you
things
while
was,
you're trying to make
What-
good points.
what?
Sorry. Go
okay,
for
so I go to heaven,
it. Yeah.
right? Angels singing,
Mm-hmm.
whatever your version, right? White clouds, all the stuff.
Yeah. And Bill Gates has still got a mansion. Shit.
If that ends up being heaven, I got life completely wrong. Oh my gosh.
Anyway, as you were saying,
At some point I'm going to get bored,
you're going to get bored.
right? And what I mean by that is like, okay, so you're doing that for eternity. You're singing with choirs of angels, or having grapes fed to you by cherubim, or like whatever the things are.
Yeah, but have you read Dante's Inferno?
Yeah.
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 So, but you can say that, but like in Dante's Inferno, the other thing that I look at is like, if you remember one of the levels, so there's several levels to heaven. There's like purgatory, and then there's the middle level where you're just faces,
Right.
and then God has removed your want from you.
Right.
So it's like the other side. I like to look at once again the other side of the coin, not to play devil's advocate, but
No, this is fine.
to
This is
make
great.
sure
I love
like,
this.
It's just okay. But if Dante's Inferno, some people consider it a very, I'm not saying I do or I don't, but some people consider it like kind of a be all end all. And they go, because he went on this journey while he was asleep. And this is clearly a prophecy is how certain people see it. And so it's like, yeah, you got up to heaven and you could be bored unless God just takes your boredom away from you.
Okay.
Then you're not bored anymore.
There's totally that.
But then there's the third where there's a curiosity where you get to, how do you ever get bored? Because now you get to talk to every single saint, every single, there's actually a really good Mother Teresa joke that I need to tell you. So you get to talk to every single saint, you get every good person.
Pick everybody's brain.
Yeah. And you can just, and then people are dying every day. So you get to, the next person comes up and you're like, hey,
it's
you can
this
go
podcast every day.
You can go watch a comedian perform.
Yeah.
So it's like there's that endless amount of opportunity, or you can go, if you're a otherworldly heavenly body, you can go explore other planets and other universes, and you can just fuck with people, or things
amazing.
or places. So there's this, but before I forget, I have to tell you this
Mother
Mother Teresa joke, because so Mother Teresa dies and she goes up to heaven, right? And she's up there, and God greets her, and he's like, "Hey," and she's like, "Good." And so he goes, "Well, are you hungry?" And she goes, "Yeah, I mean, I could eat, I guess." So God opens a can of tuna and gets out a loaf of bread, and they sit down and they have a meal together, and they eat their tuna and their bread, and then they have their meal. And this goes on day after day, month after month, or week after week, and they sit down, open one can of tuna, have their slice of bread, and Mother Teresa looks down and she can see hell. And she sees down in hell, they're having broiled lobster, they're having a broiled steak, they're having lobster, they're having, these extravagant meals.
Yeah.
And she looks at God and she goes, "Hey," she goes, "I am extremely thankful to be here." She goes, "So I don't want you to get that impression." She goes, "I'm actually overjoyed. I'm incredibly grateful to be in your presence." She goes, "But I do have to ask." She goes, "I wouldn't change anything." She goes, "But I do have to ask, why do we, or why do they down in hell eat broiled steak and lobster while we are up here just eat tuna and a slice of bread?" And God looks at her and goes, "Well, for two people, it just doesn't really make sense to cook.
Oh, no. Oh, that was good.
I heard that one time. I never forgot that.
Literally the only joke that I have in my arsenal.
Oh, yeah?
What do you call a drummer with no girlfriend?
A drummer.
Homeless.
Ah, ooh. Okay. Yeah, there's
it's only
so
funny
many
to musicians.
There's so many there's so many that you can get into with just a specific genre, like Bill Gates dies and goes up to heaven, and he gets to the
again. I don't think that if that's reality, we're in trouble.
He gets to the pearly gates, and I heard this back in the early 2000s. Things were better for Bill Gates.
Yes,
in the early 2000s when I heard the joke. And he gets handed a cotton robe and a wooden staff, and he is escorted to a cottage. And they're like, "Hey, here's your house for the rest of immortality." And as he's walking, St. Peter's walking him in. He looks over, and there's the captain of the Titanic. And the captain of the Titanic has got a gold house with a gold robe and a gold staff, and he's got a pool that he's jumping in and out of. And
you'd think you would avoid the water.
Yeah, and Bill Gates looks at St. Peter, and he goes, "St. Peter," he goes, "Why do I get a cotton robe and a wooden staff and a simple cottage when the guy who is the captain of the Titanic, he gets a gold robe and a gold cottage?" And St. Peter looks at him and he goes, "Well, the Titanic only crashed once." So, there's just so many like one-liner jokes. If you wanted to do just one, if you wanted to do just all the way from dad jokes to dirty jokes for the next hour, we could probably do that. Yeah. I won't, but it's but you know, I do have my top 3.
Okay.
So I will give you one of them, and then anybody who wants to hear the other 2 can ask me in person.
Okay.
Because I don't want to,
another little tease.
Yeah. So we will go, since we went from heavenly jokes, we'll go to the exact opposite end of the spectrum, which is dirty jokes.
Perfect.
So we'll
yes, let's do it.
Right? Because we have an eclectic listening group, I'm sure. And so
we got to hit them all.
And so there's a guy that goes fishing. And if my wife's listening to this, she's heard this joke a billion times.
Is she already shaking her head?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. She knew what it was before I even said it. This is my second favorite joke. I always say that. So this is my second favorite joke is guy goes fishing, and while he's going fishing, he wants to smoke a cigar. Okay.
As one does.
Yeah. And so he's out there, gets a cigar out. He realized, I don't have a lighter. And so he looks down the stream, and there's a guy who's smoking a cigarette. And he goes, well, that guy's got to have a lighter. So he goes down, and he goes and talks to the guy. He goes, hey, man. He goes, I see that you're smoking a cigarette. He goes, I'm trying to smoke a cigar. Do you have a lighter? And the guy goes, as a matter of fact, I do. He pulls out this huge novelty lighter.
Yeah.
And the guy goes, holy shit. He goes, where'd you get that? And the other guy goes, well, believe it or not, he goes, you go up that hill, there's a bottle where there's a genie in it. You rub that lamp or that bottle, he'll give you whatever you want. And he goes, no shit. He goes, no shit. So he goes and he walks up the hill and he gets it. And sure enough, there's a bottle right there. So he picks it up, he rubs the dirt off the bottle. Poof, genie appears. I am a great and all-powerful genie. I will give you whatever you wish. The guy thinks about it for a little while. He goes, all right. He goes, I wish for $1 million. Genie goes, as you command. Poof. He disappears back in the bottle. Guy looks around. There's no briefcase with $1 million in it. He's like, and then he looks in his wallet. There's no check for $1 million. He goes, it's in my bank account. It's got to be in my bank account. So he starts walking back down the hill. And as he's walking down the hill, the sky blacks out and 1 million ducks just start flying overhead. And he looks up and he goes, you have got to be kidding me. Are you shitting me right now? So he hoofs it back to the other guy that's down the stream and he goes, hey man, he goes, that's the worst genie ever. He goes, I wish for $1 million and now there's 1 million ducks flying overhead. And the guy looks at him and goes, tell me about it. You really think I wished for a 12-inch bick? That's my second favorite
good
love
one.
that joke. If you are not laughing, we can't be friends. I love that joke. I will tell it as long as anybody wants to hear it.
So good. Yeah, I was like, okay, wait, I've heard this before. I can't remember the punchline, and then gosh,
I heard that joke. Probably 9 years ago, and I still and I still remember it to this day.
That joke makes me mad because I'm like, that jerk didn't warn the guy, like, hey, by the way, this genie is going to screw up whatever your wish is, so be extra careful.
Oh yeah.
Have you played that game? You get 3 wishes.
You get 3 wishes?
Yep. You got a genie.
And you get 3 wishes?
Yep. What are you wishing for?
I have, but not in a while. I know that one of my wishes would be I wish that whatever I need to buy, I always have that amount in my pocket.
Oh, that's good.
I need to buy a house. I need $27,834 down. Guess what? I reach into my pocket and there's a check for $27,834. I can remember that amount twice in a row, but I can't remember Jonathan Winters.
Mr. Jonathan Winters. That's great, right? Because that's my thought process is, okay, if you wish for $1 million, instead you get like a million deer coming your way, right? Or the ducks or whatever the thing is.
I got another one.
Or even if you say, yep, I want whatever it is, and next thing you know, but bank got robbed and you're getting blamed for it, right? So that's a good, you got to think about
you always
all
have
the
to have
rules.
a pocket.
You always
so
have
there's
to,
that.
yeah, there is that.
You always have to have a pocket.
Yeah, you can't be skinny dipping.
Really quick. So there's a there's a doe that stumbles out of the woods, and there's 2 other deer, and there's a doe that stumbles out of the woods, and there's 2 other deer there, and they go, "What the hell happened to you?" And she goes, "I don't know, but I'll never do that again for $2." There you go. That's a good one. But yeah, so that one, and then I used to not be this guy, but but I would wish to, because like I had other things that I would want to wish for, but I got converted to if I could travel anywhere instantaneously.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's a good one. I used to not be that guy because I was like, well, you could wish for like super strength, or you could wish for like, or you could run super fast. So it's like, oh, you just run there.
Yeah.
But it's like, if you can just snap your fingers and be somewhere,
whatever. That's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
You can go anywhere you want in the world in a week. You can see everything that you need to see real quick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Where would you go first?
Ooh. That's tough. Where would I go first? Either Egypt or Greece.
Yep.
I love the architecture.
Have you ever been?
Nope.
No.
No.
Have you been outside of the US?
Yeah, I've been overseas. So
you have?
I have been, I've been to Dublin, or I went through basically all of Southern Ireland with my wife on our honeymoon, and then London. We
Also
stayed in London, and then the surrounding areas like Stonehenge and stuff like that.
Nice. Was it cool, or were you disappointed, or were you?
It was incredible. It took 18 days, and 2 days were for travel, and then 8 days in each location.
Perfect.
Wouldn't have done it
exactly. Yeah, anything shorter, and you're.
And
Could you imagine only doing that trip in a week?
Well, and I have a friend that lives in London, and they were like, they're from Kellogg, Idaho, and they moved to London. Awesome, super cool lady.
Whoa.
And she, we got there after spending 8 days in Ireland, and she goes, "How long are you going to be in London?" And I go, "Well, we're here for another 8 days." And she goes, "Perfect," because she loves to travel too, and she loves to travel, and she travels all around.
Well, yeah,
Europe
you would, of course.
And her biggest recommendation is, she says, people come over here, and because she had other friends that have joined her, she said people come over here and they'll only plan for 2 days in a location. She was like, you can't fit everything that you need to see in 2 days, because they'll go 2 days here, 2 days there. You know, they'll do like 2 days in London, and then they'll spend 2 days in Italy, and then they'll spend 2 days in Greece.
Yeah, what are you doing?
Leave. And so she was like, you should be, rather than do that, instead of doing that, consider, or she says the way you should do it is, she goes, if you're going to spend 6 days somewhere, just spend it in one location and get everything that you can out of it.
Yes. There's so much in each one of those locations.
I thought it was awesome.
Oh,
Italy would be another place that I would love to go.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could go spend one of these days.
If you want to see me piss Italians off real quick,
yeah, of course.
I would love to go for the pizza. That's that's the only reason I want to go. I would just love
the
to
pizza.
see the pizza. 100%. Right. I'm sure that's the best thing they have there is pizza.
I thought that's all they had.
No, yeah. It was to my impression. That and garlic bread.
Oh yeah. Jeez.
No, for quite the opposite. I would go for everything besides that, which is everything besides the pizza. I believe it's done in Sicily or something. There's a specific game that each side of the specific town plays, and because it's very territorial in Italy.
Yeah.
And it's like football, but you can punch people. There's no pads. Yeah, there's no pads.
Like, wait, European football or American football?
American football.
Yeah.
They just have like a soccer ball, though.
Okay.
You can pass the ball, but it is also legal to literally grab people, wrestle them to the ground, and punch them in their face until they are unconscious.
I'm in.
It's insane.
That sounds amazing.
I want to go. I want to go so bad.
What is that? That's football, rugby, and MMA all like together.
Pretty much.
Why not?
And it's like a generational thing. So if your dad did it, you're going to do it.
You're going to do it.
And if you did, like, your kids are going to do it, and they know, but basically it's who's the toughest of the tough.
Dang.
And it's so territorial in Italy that I believe it's the east and west side of Sicily or north and south side of Sicily. It's basically, it's two different territories. And it's like, do you find out this year, and it's bragging rights all year.
Dang.
Who's the best? Who's the toughest part of Italy?
Who came out with less teeth?
It's insane. And then you wonder why domestic violence. I'm not going to get into that. Never mind.
No.
I'm kidding. It's a cheap joke. It's a cheap joke, and I'm partially Italian, so I will say that I insulted myself on that one as well. But
it's so good.
Notice how I stopped in the middle of it.
Right there. Oh man.
You can get to the cusp, right? Like, know your audience. You get to the cusp and you pull back. Right. You just pull a little bit back.
You just leave them wanting more.
You get a little bit back. But if you get 3 people clicking off, but 30 people clicking on, then
it's perfect.
There you go.
Yeah, we got to stay right there.
But it's not all for the views, right? Like, it's not all for the clicks. I always think it's like, if I can make somebody laugh, then it was all worth it.
Totally.
So
yeah, 100% that. Okay, so first, like, brief question is football, and then I have questions about your wife.
Football.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about it? Played?
Yeah.
Yeah. I played 2.5 years at Carroll. I never saw any field time.
Okay.
But for those 2.5 years, every practice, except for one time I got food poisoning, but every practice,
that's always fun.
Every practice. Turns out I felt so bad, dude. I left that practice and
just wanting to die.
No, I walked into the practice and I turned around, and before I even put my pads on, I left. And I thought I was just the biggest wuss in the entire locker room. And then I come to find out that literally guys shit their pants that day and vomited on the field. Chicken tetrazzini, my guy. I'll never forget that dish.
Can you still eat it?
I haven't eaten it since.
Yeah, see?
But I haven't tried to. Because there's usually other delicious stuff on the menu. That's just what that's just what they were serving that day. But there was and a ton of guys left practice that day. So I didn't feel so bad after that. But I played for 2.5 years.
What position?
Nose guard and defensive tackle is what I played. Yeah. And so,
I mean, if you're in the bottom of one of those piles, you can start punching people.
Yeah, you technically can. Yeah, you can. you technically can. If you're doing it right, you've already punched them, so they're on the bottom of the pile. But we won't get into those maneuvers.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I played 2.5 years. I was one of the top lifters on the team, and basically it didn't work out. And as far as I wasn't making enough. I was putting myself through college through student loans, and then I was starting to rent a place so I could make more money working the same amount of. I calculated it, and during home games, we did 28 hours a week dedicated to just football between lifting, film study, and practice.
Good night.
And then away games, it was really weird. You'd think home games would be more, but away games, it was 30 hours of practice, film study, and weightlifting per week. And I figured
plus travel.
And I figured I could take that same scheduling that I had with my classes, and I could actually go work in a chem lab, which was my degree.
Yeah.
And I could build experience, and I could actually make money for rent doing that, and money for rent and food.
Why not?
And so I made way more money doing that and build my resume than I could playing football. And one of the guys who's a veteran, the day I walked in, because I had to tell They made me go in and tell the entire defensive line room that I wasn't going to play anymore. Like they were like, if you don't want to play
you gotta tell your
anymore, then
teammates.
you get to tell your teammates. We're not going to do it for you.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right. And so I went in, and it sucked. It was really hard because it built real big camaraderie. And I didn't know if I was going to, it was a small school, but I didn't know if I was going to talk to these guys the same way after I left the program.
Right.
And it gotten really close. And so I walked in and I was like, I'm really sorry, but I made a decision, and unfortunately, I'm not going to play anymore, but I just, I really loved playing with you guys. And, I respect you guys a lot.
Yeah.
And then I left, and I remember I left. It felt super bad. I told the weightlifting coach, that was the one that felt really bad. Shout out Coach Hogan. He was such a good influence on me because he was the offensive line coach. He had an amazing attitude. He was the strength and conditioning coach. So he pushed you, but I went in every day. I loved weightlifting, and so still do. And so I'd go in there, and I just gave it my all every day, and he saw that. And so that was the one that hurt the most, is I had to tell Coach Hogan, and he was like, he's like, I am damn sad that you are leaving. And I was like, yeah, I know. I'm not really happy about it either.
Yeah.
But it's a decision I got to make.
Yeah.
And he was like, and I told him why. He goes, why? And I told him why. He goes, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And he goes, but it's going to really suck not having you here anymore. And I know. And so that one really sucked. But as I was saying, one of the veteran guys, when I walked away, apparently literally right after I walked out of the room, he turned to my roommate, who was another defensive lineman. And he goes, dude, he's been going to practice every day and lifting every day for 2.5 years, and he hasn't seen any playing time. He goes, I wouldn't have been playing either. He goes, I would have left a year ago.
I would have been out too.
And yeah, so it was
That's
so that kind of
funny.
carried me through. I was like, okay, like,
well, and there is definitely that, like, you're quitting on the team. You're right. Like that is a mentality, and I've been around that, and I've seen that, and I understand that.
Yeah.
But man, everybody's got to do what's best for them, and you very clearly did the calculations, and it's like, this is the path that I need to take.
If I could go back again, like people always do that. If I could go back again, right? Like if I could go back again, I would have fought for certain things differently, for sure. But I don't regret it. Like, but that's the difference, though, is I also don't regret not having fought for those things, because it's like, yeah, it could have changed the path. It could have changed the path a little bit, or I could be right back here.
Totally.
So,
Right.
So yeah, it was. But on the other hand, I am like looking at what I could have fought for. I'm way more proud of what I accomplished while I was there, especially in the weight room. Like I built a lot of, and the relationships that I built. When I left, I was still friends with all those guys.
Yeah,
we still, we still say hi. I was still a mentor to one of the freshmen that was playing football. He actually played. He did 5 years there, and he played. When our freshman class of football players was the experimental class, supposedly, is that we were the Fighting Saints, and we had Big and Little Saints is what it was called.
Oh, cool.
And usually your big saint is like a senior or a junior on the team. Well, this year, the year of our class, they're like, the big saint is going to be a sophomore, and you're going to take on a freshman under your wing, because you just got through your first year. Right. So you understand what it takes.
You're closer to.
So yeah, you're closer to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I was given a little saint, and it sounds so weird to say that out loud. I was given a little
You are
saint.
Catholic,
We are
right?
close to St. Patrick's Day. So you could say it like, I was given a little saint. And boy, was he fun. But it was, but essentially,
oh, no.
he used a great time. He knew how to wear his clogs, but the wooden shoes, he's a leprechaun.
No.
But he was still asking me for advice, like after I left the program.
Yeah,
and so that's
great.
That was awesome. I still would have lunch with him. I'd sit down and he'd ask me questions, and so that was really cool. That was the best part. I was so proud of those moments walking away from the program.
Yeah.
Where it's like,
yeah.
It's like, I have no shame. I was one of the top 3 squat. Like I had the highest squat max on the team.
Night.
I was spending time after practice hitting the tackling dummy. Like I was, like people would go in, I'd spend another 10, 15 minutes outside trying to work on shedding blocks and trying to memorize formations and
you were in
like defensive schemes. Yeah. And so it was like, I didn't not give my all.
No,
I totally did.
Right. Well, and I mean, just the amount that you learn from going through those things,
Mhm.
all of it, right? When you go
Yeah.
challenge yourself, when you put in the effort,
Mhm.
there's always good that comes out of it.
Right? Like you can, once again, it goes back, you can control your attitude and your effort.
Yep.
So if I'm not seeing playing time, why, like, I can either get pissed,
Right.
or I can see it as like, I'm not giving it, like, I need to put in more effort. And
Yeah.
if I'm still one of the top 3
What was your squat, by the
squats
way?
on the team, I was 540 pounds.
Good
Was the most I squatted,
Lord.
which is funny because I say that and it sounds impressive. And then I talked to my sister's husband, and he was squatting 600 pounds in high school in Texas, but Texas football is different.
Steroids.
So I was like, no, actually, he went to the Junior Olympics in judo.
Holy crap.
Yeah, this dude athlete. So
Yeah. They're
and
built
so-
different.
for
Yeah.
sure. And so, but yeah, I was top 5 in power cleans at the time. I was, I could, power clean was 325 pounds.
Good night.
And then, which Micah Parsons does that for like sets of 7. It's insane.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But then again, this was back in 2011, and so we didn't have the sports science that we do now.
Right.
But and then bench press, everybody could do bench press. That was what everybody focused on. But I was still up there, and so it was like, if
It's
I'm
the weirdest stick measuring tool that I've ever seen is
Yeah.
the bench press.
well, and the whole point I say is not. That's exactly actually where I was going with that. The whole point is that it wasn't a dick measuring contest as much as it was a check-in again, right?
Oh, okay.
Because for me is how
Yeah.
I interpreted it. Because I go, if I'm one of the strongest guys on this team,
Yep.
that means I'm not doing something right fundamentally.
Yep.
Scheme wise, or
Right.
my block shed isn't good enough.
Right.
You know, maybe my football IQ, they want me to, you know, or reactionary. Like I need to work on these things. If I'm good in this aspect and I continue to work on that, make my strong things stronger, but continue to bring up my weaknesses. So that's when I started spending time outside of practice. And I did that for, I think it was like 6 months to a year is what I did that for. And it was like, okay, I've done this for a year.
Yeah.
And the coaches know I'm doing it, and I've gotten pats on the back for it, but I'm still not on the traveling team, and I'm still not seeing
Right.
playing time.
Yeah.
The most I've done is I've put on a uniform and stood on the sidelines. Like,
Yeah.
and then it's like, and that was because it's a home game, so they could put more people on the sidelines. And so
Okay.
it was like, and so it's like, if I'm not seeing that, and I've done this for a year, yes, I could do this for 3 more years,
Right.
and maybe see 1 year of playing time.
Right.
Or I could look at the reality of the situation, and I could go, is it better? And I heard something that was really interesting. It was talking about time of investment
Yeah.
into something.
Yep.
So people will invest so much time into something that they won't quit it when they need to quit it,
Yes.
because they fear the fear of the loss. And so they'll lose more by investing more time into
Yep.
it than if they would have cut their losses early. And so I learned that before I even knew what that was. I learned that through football and having to make a hard decision on my
Cool.
own, where I was like, what is my time of investment here?
Yeah.
What are the relationships I've built? If I cut that, what does that look like?
Yep.
And the other side of the coin was the potential to have job experience, to get a job in the chemistry field, to pay my rent.
Yep.
The financial aspect of being able to try and get ahead of people, when the potential to get ahead of people in my finances with my student loans was more of a pull and had higher potential to me
Yep.
than playing football for another 2.5 years. Because I went to school for 5 years, was playing football for another 2.5 years, and maybe seeing 1 year of playing time because I had seniors ahead of me that were also working really hard.
Yeah.
I had a guy that had transferred in because he had just went on his Mormon mission, and he transferred in, and he was like 21 or 22, and he could squat like, apparently he had a bodysuit on, but I think he said he could squat like 700 pounds.
Oh, good night.
And so it was like, and he transferred right into my position. So it's like, and they immediately started putting him in with reps with the ones and the twos.
Yeah.
I was like, I haven't even gotten 1 rep in with the ones.
Yeah.
Like, if he's already getting reps in with the ones and the twos, and he's only been here for like 2-3 months, this is not a good sign.
Was he a white dude?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I was gonna say,
Yeah.
or Polynesian. It wouldn't have surprised me if he was.
No,
Polynesian.
big buff white dude, and he was good guy, great guy. Bo,
Yeah.
he was awesome. And it wasn't anything against him. I actually didn't have anything against him. I was just like, well,
Well,
I was like, realize
seeing
the
writing on
time
the
and
wall.
the place. Yeah.
And what's the ROI?
Yeah.
right? And if
the only other thing I could do right now is if he stays the whole time, maybe change my position or play right, but hope that I can beat everybody else out and play right beside him.
Yeah.
Because clearly the coaches see potential in him.
Yeah.
And they're trying to favor that right now.
Yeah.
And not in a favor in a bad way. They're just trying to push that right now.
Totally.
See what they can make out of him. Because he's a 20-year-old freshman.
Yep.
You got him for 4 to 5 more years.
More time.
And he's already squatting 700 pounds.
Yeah.
Who are you going to put in?
Jeez, that's
the guy. That's your best potential right there.
It makes my ass hurt just thinking about it.
Yeah, but it makes your ass big doing it. So
yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. Okay, so something
because the chicks dig it. Anyway, oh, I'm gonna add that to my playlist. I created a playlist called "Country But Good."
Country But Good. So it's what, 3 songs?
No. Right now I'm up to like over 400.
Really?
So, yeah.
And I do love me some country, so that was a pan on something I do actually enjoy.
Yeah.
But over 4, that's
yeah.
That's pretty good.
I try to create a vibe with my most of my playlists. So
yes.
Make them a little bit more upbeat.
Nice. Good energy. One of the things you brought up was you were getting your chem degree.
Yeah. Well, you said you wanted to ask me about my wife too.
So we'll come back to the wife. She's not going anywhere.
Okay. Yeah.
But since we're on the school thing.
I hope not.
Yeah. Otherwise we're in trouble.
I tried the other, I didn't try. I unknowingly almost no, she didn't get that mad, but no, she was making breakfast the other day and I totally messed it up. It was all on me, but it was so cool the way she reacted. So it was like, she was making breakfast on a Saturday, right? And I hadn't gone to the gym yet. And so she's going to hate me for telling the story, but I hadn't gone to the gym yet. And so my big dumb fat mouth she's making breakfast. She has the bacon in the pan and I go, "Oh, did you already go to the gym?" And she goes, "No." And I go, "Oh, okay." And I go, "Oh, well, she's clearly doing something nice for me." Yeah. And I go, "Oh, well, you like to eat something before you go to the gym." And I doubled down instead of reading the room because I just woken up. And I go, "Oh, okay, well," I haven't gone to the gym yet, so I'm not going to eat anything.
Oh, no.
What kind of idiot am I? Like, what am I doing? And we have had several conversations since then about how that was such a dumb thing to say. But also Mike and I actually talked about this. And he pointed out in a different wording, but he was like, her reaction is, I saw that she was immediately down about it. And I was like, "Oh, I totally messed up."
Yep.
But then she immediately said, she goes, "I should have known." She goes, "You don't like to eat before you go to the gym."
Yeah.
And I go, "But it's fair because you didn't know whether or not I didn't tell you I was going to the gym."
Right.
I go, "I should have just eaten the stupid bacon and eggs." Is what I should have done.
Yeah, you should have. You totally should have.
But we've had awesome conversations. And now it's literally that was last Saturday and we're laughing about it now. So
yeah, that's good. You guys are still together.
Yeah.
You didn't have a breakfast fiasco.
No.
What's on the divorce paper? Why are you divorcing him?
Bacon and eggs, motherfucker. Bacon and fucking eggs.
Okay, so we are going into wife. How'd you meet her? Why do you love her?
Oh.
How's life with her?
What was the other thing you wanted to talk about?
Chem. We'll come back to Chem.
We'll come back to
you
Chem.
pick. You pick. Which path do you want to go down first?
We can do wife as closing arguments. So
wife is closing arguments.
So we'll do that last.
Okay. All right. We'll save the wife.
But Chem, what do you want to know about Chem?
Okay. So why did you pursue that, and what was the plan? Because you are not in a lab today,
dude. So do I go? Here's the thing. So my dad told me when I was growing up that he said, like I think a lot of people's parents did, is he said, if you really want to make money, then you basically go into a higher end profession. We're from Idaho, so where I grew up surrounded by farm fields. We'll just say he did not use those exact words.
You mean bumfuck out Idaho?
Kind of, yeah, a little bit. Okay. And the closest thing to us were neighbors whose first name was Dick and a radio station.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, and then the rest was farm fields.
Yeah.
But basically, he was like, you need to get into a higher paying profession, which was like a doctor or a lawyer.
Okay.
And so I chose to go to Carroll College in Helena, Montana, because not only were they one of the only people that I had potential to earn an athletic scholarship through, but also at the time, their graduation rate for pre-med was 86%.
Oh yeah.
So if you completed their pre-med program at Carroll, you had an 86% chance that you would get into med school on the first try.
Brilliant.
Whew, talk about good odds.
There's
right?
the golden ticket.
Yeah, I was like, there we go. And I knew I wanted to do chemistry. And I was like, cool, I'll just go be a doctor. Like, awesome.
Yeah.
And so,
what do you do with a chem degree as a doctor? Would that be like pharmaceutical stuff?
so the specifics?
Yeah.
I wanted to be a anesthesiologist or a nurse anesthetist is what I wanted to do.
Yep, that makes sense.
I had interviewed several people.
Anesthesiologists make money.
Oh, yeah. And so I had talked to several people, a civil engineer. I talked to a nurse anesthetist.
And what is an anesthetist?
An anesthesiologist, but you're a nurse first.
Oh, got it. Okay.
So
okay. Yep.
Actually, and his son.
The more complicated
the guy
it is
that
to
I
say, the more money you make.
Pretty much. The funny thing is his son is a nurse anesthetist.
Oh, yeah.
So the guy that I went and I interviewed for, just because in high school, there was part of a class project. You had to go out and interview 3 people that you would think that you would be interested in and having a job in their field.
Yeah.
So civil engineer, nurse anesthetist, and then something else. I don't remember what it was. Those were the 2 big ones.
Stripper.
So
got it.
yeah, stripper. Yeah, my mom loved that one.
Yeah.
Came home, I was like,
you would be fantastic at that, though. I want you popping out of a cave.
I was like, Cadillac said that I can make 6 figures first year. And her sister Escalade said that I could make 7 figures in 10 years.
What would your stage name be?
Easy, white chocolate mocha. Same thing as my coffee order.
Oh, so good.
100%.
100%.
Yeah. And so, but I went into back to
this
chemistry.
Just keeps getting better because I want you to come into EBC in the janitor thing with the little string coming out,
and
white chocolate mocha
and
in
a white
the
chocolate
house.
mocha in my hand.
Gosh,
If I wasn't doing dieting right now, I totally would.
Man.
But yeah. So I
rabbit hole.
But here's the cool thing about the chemistry degree, and so back to core values and all that thing is the reason I wanted to be a doctor and the reason I wanted a chem degree is because in my junior year of high school, I took a chemistry class and I had one friend on either side of me. So I had 2 friends in the class. I understood what was going on in that chemistry class. I was getting it just a little bit faster than they would. And so I could help them do their assignments and their homework.
Cool.
So it's back to the whole helping thing where I was like, okay, I can help somebody, I can help somebody succeed because I know this is tough. And it's not their thing.
Yep.
And so it was like, I wasn't a big fan ironically, of English because I loved the poetry side of things.
Yeah.
But pronouns, adverbs didn't really excite me.
Right.
So, so chemistry was more exciting in that aspect.
Yeah.
Right. And so, I decided, I can help people with this. I go be a doctor. I can continue to help people with this. That's what I want to do. And then my second year of college, I was like, I don't want to do the blood thing. Do I have to do the blood thing? Like, I don't want to do the blood thing.
You ain't into the blood thing?
And it's one of those things where I can do it.
Yeah.
And if I have to, just do it. Like, just get it done and do it. But if I have to, by choice, do that as an everyday thing.
Every day.
I was, and so I really enjoyed analytical chemistry as opposed to biological chemistry.
Yeah.
So, or like organic chemistry are the 2 real fields. There's inorganic and organic. And I really enjoyed inorganic chemistry. And I just didn't get organic chemistry. I had to take that class, both semesters, twice. So, yeah. So that was part of why I did 5 years. And so, it's all about learning and like nobody's perfect. Right. And so, as far as like, I think a lot of people, you look at them and you go, well, of course you passed OChem both times. It's like, and that's how I discovered how I liked analytical chemistry.
Yeah.
I went from that to inorganic chemistry and I crushed inorganic chemistry.
What do you do
fun.
with inorganic?
Inorganic.
Did that change your path, obviously?
Yeah. It's research. So you can do organic chemistry and inorganic chemistry with research. But it was also inorganic chemistry is really good for chemical engineering.
Oh, yeah.
So, so I would, I started going down that path. And then basically I was in too much student debt by the time I graduated.
Yeah.
To go get my master's.
Right.
So, essentially the colleges I applied to were like, no.
You do not qualify.
They were like, well, and it wasn't even that I applied to the colleges. It was like, oh, I need more money to go to college.
Right.
And they were like, you don't get more money to go to college.
Yeah.
Unless your dad wants to sell his business. How's that sound? And my dad was like,
love you some, bud.
No.
Yeah.
He was like, I'm not going to sell. Like, that's insane.
Yeah.
So, and I wasn't going to be like, come on.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Come on. You never support me. But it was, so it was like, I just kind of accepted it. And I was like, but I have a chemistry degree. I'm still going to make $70,000 a year when I graduate. Hell no. Hell no. Not back in 2016. Like, even in 2016, everywhere I was applying to that I wanted to go to said master's required.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That's gross.
So, yeah.
Pfizer wasn't opening the door and being like, come make some stuff in the lab.
No. Closest I got was Micron.
Oh, yeah.
Down in Boise. Yeah. I applied. I tried to get my foot in the door, and that was a big lesson in interviewing. I just didn't do a good job on the phone interview on that one, and that's okay. Like it just but that one did hit me hard because it was like every interview, because I did improv, was like a performance, right?
Yes.
You're selling yourself.
Yeah,
and you can make them, if you can make an interviewer laugh. They'll even tell you that if you're taking classes for interviews, they say, try and don't be obnoxious. But if you can get a smile or a chuckle out of the person that's interviewing you, then you have put yourself above everybody else to get that job. And
certainly more memorable.
And I'll never forget that. I was like 3 or 4 sentences in, and I had just left a job working at a pasta noodle manufacturing plant. And basically I got yelled at for being too happy.
How dare you?
It was crazy. No, it was crazy.
He literally noodle factory or
at the noodle factory. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Super strict Italian guy. Yeah, that had owned the family business. He's like second or third in line. Dude got like 15 coffees a day. It was insane. Drove a Cadillac. Yeah. But he was on the floor. He had an Italian accent, and he was basically he was upset with the fact there was a bunch of Marshall Islanders there, and we all worked hard. And so I would crack a joke. I'm fresh off improv. I would crack a joke, make their day better. Yeah. Because they're literally putting pasta in boxes all day long. Right. And it's like, and mundane. So, and so it's like, I'd laugh with these Marshall Islanders. It was awesome. And then, he saw me doing that, and he basically said that it was too much of a distraction to the workers, and that I was too much of a distraction to the workers. I was too happy, and I talked too much, and I was banned for the floor for 2 weeks.
What?
Yeah. And so I was banned because I worked in a chem lab, but I had to go out to the floor. Chemistry lab. I worked in an office where they had water, and so and pH strips, and so I could walk out to the floor, and I would go.
Still good.
I'd go test the pH.
Yep, still good.
So I wasn't allowed to go get my samples anymore.
How dare you?
Yep, and I wasn't allowed to go sift through 500-pound boxes of pasta to make sure that all the noodles looked good.
Good night.
And then my manager talked him down to 1 week, and so I was banned for the floor for 1 week. And then I come to find out from another worker who had injured herself, and then so while she was healing from her injury, she actually worked in the lab that I was working the lab that I was working in. And she said, "Do you know that you're doing your boss's job and the other person's job in the lab?" She's like, "You're like half of the stuff on the list that they're telling you need to do. You don't do that. Like that's not in your job description." Yep. And so
other duties as assigned.
So I left that to full circle it. So I left that job, and I was working like 6 to 7 days a week, 10 to 12 hours a day. And so I couldn't see any friends or family. No. And I was looking for other jobs. I didn't have one at the time. I was living off my savings. And then Micron called me, and basically they were like, "How are you in a team atmosphere?" And I was like, "Great." And
as long as you don't want happiness.
Yeah. I was like, they go, but they didn't ask it that way. And that was the toughest part is they go, "So we see you left your last job." And I go, "Why'd you leave your last job?" And I go, "Well, it just wasn't a good team environment. Like it was, we had disagreements. I made the mistake. I said, we had some disagreements, and I thought that would go over smooth, but they took it, and I go, we had some disagreements, and so I just decided it wasn't best for me to work there anymore.
Yeah.
And
They took that as you being the bad apple.
and they and they took that and they ran with it. And I'll never forget how many times that guy said team in one phone call after that, because he goes, well, we're a real team environment here, and we want team players, and we want to make sure that if somebody comes here, they're going to be part of a team, and they realize that they're going to be part of that team. And I go, what? And then I realized what I had done, and I tried backtracking so fast. Like, I am part of a team. I'm really easygoing. I'm actually extremely easygoing. I was like, so this was just a weird one-off occurrence. I go, I think you can tell, and I just never got a call back from that. And I know that's why they didn't.
That's
call me
why.
back. I know that's why they didn't call me back.
Man.
But the funny thing is my cousin's husband works at Micron, and she'll still hit me up every once in a while, and she'll go, hey, are you interested in, because she wants me to move down to Boise, and she'll go, hey, are you interested in a job at Micron? I'll be like,
I don't know if I'm a team player.
We tried that one time.
Yeah.
I think we can give up the ghost on this one, unless I'm a fucking janitor. Like, I am so far away. I will be Jonathan Winters is what I would be at Micron, because I would be essentially just I'm so far away from my chemistry degree,
cleaning the windows,
that I have no value to them.
You don't think so?
I think if somebody, I can be of immense value if somebody is willing to take the time and train me. I'll be your number one team player.
Yeah.
And I think that's my biggest asset that is like, but the problem is that I have a chemistry degree, and I've done so many different things that it's like people want somebody who's either got a specific degree or who's been doing that specific thing for 5 years.
Yes.
And I totally understand it. And there's a lot of people out there like that. So I'm not bitter about that fact. And if anything, I understand it. And that's why I'm in the profession I'm in now, is because I can make my own way.
Totally. Okay. So a question there.
Answer there.
So not going anywhere in the chem world unless something wild and crazy and cool happens.
Mm-hmm.
I swear to God, if you tell me yes, I might lose it. Are you going to do insurance the rest of your life? Like, what is Dain's dream job? If in 15 years you've built this thing, you've done this thing, what do you want to do?
Oh man,
insurance.
The thing, like, with insurance, I can really help. So it really scratches that side. It is true.
And you work for a great company. You are in a great situation. So
I'm in a great spot with some pretty good people, one of which who really helped me out yesterday. And so it makes it makes me appreciate it that much more because of the people that I have surrounding me. It's very quite the opposite of the last insurance gig that I was in, which was they're a great company. They were fantastic people, but it was just it was a different atmosphere.
Yes.
The atmosphere here, I never understood. Once again, another life lesson in learning and check-in was how much atmosphere plays a part into how productive you can be.
You are in a great office, surrounded by great people, with a great company, selling a great product, especially like
that want to help and love to laugh.
Yes. So you are in a fantastic, it is fantastic.
Yeah.
So, so counting that blessing and recognizing that is a part of is the check-in.
Yeah. And I think, for me, the biggest, the dream would be essentially something in the entertainment world. Like, I would love that. I've always gravitated towards stand-up comedy, but I on purpose, the past several years, I've kept myself away. I was going to say, you said you wanted to do improv again. Why aren't you doing improv or stand-up or some? Why are you staying away? Damn it. There's several things, but basically because when you have a family, like, you look at it and it's like, I just have my wife, me, and the dog. But it's like, I know that she would be 100% supportive, but also at the same time, it's like that would require nights, weekends, time away, with a time when she's free. And that was the reason I left real estate. Is because everybody was calling me when I was trying to have dinner with my wife. And so I'm not saying that I guess to be careful and more accurate with what you're thinking, what I'm thinking, and the way I think about it is basically, it's like, I could pursue it, but is it worth, if I was successful in the industry, would it be worth the time away?
Right.
So that's kind of the thing. And so also I haven't really found, like, it's interesting because people say you should go over here, you should go over there, you should go do this, or you should go do that.
Go check out
and
this
then
club. Go do
it's
this
like
thing.
But getting into an improv troupe, like, how do you?
Oh, there's chemistry and there's time with everybody. And
they don't really like post on like improv troupes are so disorganized that usually they don't post on, they don't have a website where they post tryouts are this way.
Right.
They have a piece of paper that they put on a telephone pole that they're like, hey, we hope somebody walks by this who likes improv and maybe comes and joins, and they're not homeless.
Yeah.
Like,
well, like, and it feels like one of those, it's all about who you know. So if some of the guys came back from one of the two troops and all of a sudden they're in Coeur d'Alene, it's like, hey, buddy,
yeah,
you want to get back together?
Well, and I was back in Helena, and actually I had a guy that is in an improv troupe in Helena, and he's been my biggest thought process, or making me think about it again, because he was like, he goes, you should just start your own. He's like,
yeah,
just start your own. He was like, because I haven't done it for 8 years, but I love it, and I'm so passionate about it that, and once again, like, that's why I say I think everybody should do it, because I think it's also such a great, it helps you think on your feet too. But I was like, maybe I can, I don't know, maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't, I don't know. But how much exposure can you get in our little town, in our little community? But I don't know.
Yeah.
There's stuff popping up all over the place, but it's not off the table.
It's not, okay,
it's
good.
not off
it's
the
just
table.
The right time, right
if somebody
opportunity.
came up to me tomorrow and
some
was like,
magic's
I want
gonna
you at an
happen.
improv troupe,
Yeah.
then I would say, yeah, like, especially in this community, if somebody's got one going and they're like, hey, we need a fourth,
You're
like,
there.
Yeah, I'll be there.
Yeah.
For sure. What's the time and day? I have time.
Cool.
I'll figure it out.
I love that.
But yeah, as far as right now, it's basically been kind of like you should create your own. Oh, you should create your own.
Yeah.
Oh, you should create your own. And it's like, I know I can do it, but how many people are actually interested in improv in the area that would jump at the opportunity? I don't know. So
good question.
And who's
don't know
actually
until you
good
ask
at
the
it.
question.
You can be bad at it. And so,
yeah.
But even if you're bad at it, you will learn so much invaluable stuff. Like so many invaluable different intricate idiosyncrasies of life that even if you're bad at a punchline, you will get so much better at something else that it will be worth your time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but no.
Shout out going to do improv.
Yeah.
Get your butts out there, people.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see here. I'm looking at the clock, and there's a couple key ones. We're gonna do closing arguments, wife. Okay, so maybe the big one that I have questions on. We've mentioned and touched on Catholicism a little bit, but raised Catholic.
Yeah, kinda.
Not is this like Christmas Easter Catholic? Or
Yeah.
is this? Yeah.
Yeah. So, I went to private Catholic school for preschool through 6th grade.
Okay.
And we did like Wednesday mass.
Okay.
So it was like, and then the 3rd through 6th grade it would rotate each week. They would put on the mass.
Okay.
Like,
Yep.
they were responsible for it. Obviously the priest would have the main sections,
Right.
but we would read, out of the Bible for certain sections and stuff like that.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Very nice.
First chances at an audience, I tell you what.
Oh yeah.
Did Christmas plays. I was a stocking. Did very well.
Nice. You weren't a tree. You were a stocking. That's good.
Hell no, I was a stocking, man. I was a damn good stocking. Mom was so proud. I helped we had solos that we had to sing, and there was a short. I was in like 6th grade, and there was a short 3rd grader who had to sing a solo, and the mic was too tall, so I like ran around. We were all in a single file line, and me in my stocking costume ran around in the front, and I like lowered the mic for her because she couldn't figure it out, and her part was coming up. And she was like, he helps. He helps. Look at him help people.
That's so cute.
The disenfranchised.
The short ones.
She's a short white kid in Idaho. Like, she's not disenfranchised, Mom. She's just short.
Jeez.
She's just short.
Oh, please tell me your mom
And
still has that
her
on
candy
video
cane outfit,
somewhere.
she can't reach around it to get the friggin' mic stand.
It's so good.
No. I don't know if we have any video of that. But yeah, no. But yeah, went raised Catholic, but then went to public school 7th through 12th.
Okay. Although,
and then went to a private Catholic college, but once again, that was because of the chem degree in the football. So
right.
it just
Well,
turned out
and that's
that way.
one of those where like, if somebody says, yeah, I don't know, Baptist or Methodist or whatever the thing is, it's like,
how many Baptists does it take to change a light bulb? Nobody can tell. Their hands are already in the air already.
Hey! Jeez.
See, those are my favorite. Those are the religious jokes that are just somewhat like that are just innocent. It's fantastic.
Yep, they're great.
Just a comment on culture. It's awesome.
But it's like you are that thing, right? Like, oh, they're
how many
Baptist.
Catholics does it? How many Catholics does it take to change a light bulb? Change? Catholics don't change.
Whereas, right, Catholicism, Judaism, like any of the major ones, it's you. Okay, do you actually are you actually actively in it? Or do you just claim like, I'm this thing because we just are, right? Like, I think there's a big difference between living it and claiming it.
Yeah.
Maybe?
My sister said a really good phrase recently. I don't know if I adhere entirely to it, but I think this fits a lot of people. So it's very apropos, which is I believe in God, but not the church.
Yes.
Is what she said.
Yep, that's a good one.
I was like, yeah, okay. Like, that makes sense. Like, you don't have to go to church every day, but you can still be a good person.
Yeah.
And you can think that there's something up there out there.
So you do believe there's something?
Yeah, it's interesting.
Or, I mean, that was what your sister said. So
yeah, that's what my sister said. Yeah. I think it's funny because the household I was raised in, my mom was very much like, we should go to church. But she didn't go every Sunday. But then my dad was like, believe whatever you want to believe. He was like, as long as you're a good person, just believe whatever I don't care. He was like, whatever. And I was like, yeah, you can believe whatever you want.
Yeah.
And so I adhere to I don't know if I've come up with solid ground for it. I think that there's I believe there's karma. For sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Like I was talking about that yin and that yang thing.
You put good out, it comes back. You put bad out, it comes back.
I'm more of a believer in just being a good person.
Yeah.
Like, I think that if God's there, then it's a bonus.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying that he shouldn't be there, right? Like, hedge your bets a little bit there, bud. But it's like,
you get to the pearly gates and you're like, crap.
But I ask.
I was baptized though. I'm good, right?
I like to grill myself. Is what I like to do. Is like to be, where I'm like, okay, well, people call God God, but basically, if you adhere by that, then shouldn't you be calling him Yahweh? Because that was what he was first telling everybody to call. So why isn't everybody just calling him Yahweh? Why'd we come up with God? But then I didn't do, maybe I didn't do enough research into why people are, if people are saying that they're very strict believers in God, then why are they calling God God? And then the other thing I think of is people always say he, him. And I'm like, well, if God is an almighty, powerful being, you should never have assigned a gender to, and I'm not being woke here. I'm just saying, like, then if you're really about it, then it should be an ominous being that has no, like,
we assigned a humanity to it, a human
you
gender.
Can't comprehend it. Yeah. So it should just be Yahweh or just be God. It shouldn't be when I talk to him, when I talk to God, when I pray to God, not when I pray to him.
Yeah.
So when songs come out like God is a woman, for me, it's just provides another thought process.
Right.
I don't get offended by it.
Right.
I go, oh, well, maybe maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you let me really analyze this. And then if I can come up on solid ground, then I'll fight for that for sure.
Yeah.
I have my own things that I believe in that I'll definitely fight for. But as far as that goes, I always think, and I kind of like where I'm at, because if God is all powerful and almighty and you can't understand him, then shouldn't I be constantly in this state of non-understanding?
Right.
And I'm just trying to figure it out.
Well, yeah. So why am I trying to put a box on this thing?
Yeah. And I love for me is like, I love the theory of I love when people get so mad at evolution and here's where I'm coming from on this, is because my thought process is, if God is all powerful and almighty, then God created science.
Right.
Then wouldn't God leave science as a trail for us to us to discover
God.
him,
Right.
To discover God.
Yeah.
See, I'm catching myself there.
Yeah. The book I have sitting over here, the book by Alan Watts, he makes specifically at that point, he's like, he refers to God as he, and he goes, because if I say it, we technically reserve it for, so for lack of a better term, I'm going to go with he. Yeah.
So I like to ask questions like that.
Yeah,
where you go, where people get so mad at, like certain fundamentalists will get so mad at scientists, and certain scientists will get so mad at fundamentalists. Where if we're all on this big rock, and we all, more than likely, that scientist, the majority of them, according to statistics, are believers in faith. Then they should be trying to find a way to reason that God exists through science.
Yes.
So that's kind of, I see this marriage that could happen, and I think it's slowly happening.
I hope so.
But it's
because the extreme of either
what cracks me up
are ridiculous, right? The first one being, okay, so the most fundamentalist, yep, the earth is only 6,000, 7,000 years old, and okay, well, science says you are full of shit. So God created the earth in 7 days. Well, what does time mean to God? That could have been 100,000 years per day, right? Like, name the thing. And then you got carbon dating. You got
I got another one for that.
All these things, right? Okay, so on this,
there's a guy that's talking to God, right? And he goes, "Hey God," he goes, "What is $1 million to you?" And God goes, "Well, $1 million to me is." He goes, "To you is but a penny to me."
Yeah.
And he goes, "Okay." He goes, "How many?" He goes, "God, what's 1 million years to you?" And God goes, 1 million years to you is but a second to me." And the guy looks up and he goes, "God?" And God goes, "Yeah." And he goes, "Can I have a penny?" And God goes, "Yeah, just give me a second."
Oh, that's great.
So,
so you got that craziness on that end. And then on the other end, okay, Big Bang and everything just right. It's the whole, what's a dictionary or a letter factory blows up and you get the dictionary that comes out of it, right? Like the chance that the randomness that this is what evolves without some kind of intelligent design, that also seems a little ludicrous to me. But the two of them married together, omnipotent, all-powerful something, whatever that thing is, God, source, the universe, the creator, whatever you want to label it, guides this whole process and gets us to where we are as the universe and humans today. That makes a little bit more sense to me.
You want to hear, okay, I'm not saying I believe this, but do you want to hear a theory that I came up with that'll kind of crack you a little bit?
I am all about theories.
Okay.
Hit me.
That once again, this is a theory, and I'm not saying I believe in this. Okay, and I am probably wrong on what I'm about to say on a couple things for sure. Well, it's a theory, so it's definitely wrong. But once again, I get very entertained with, how do you marry science and religion?
Yes.
We were talking about theories the other day, and to preface this, we were at the coffee shop and we were talking about the library at Alexandria.
Yes.
Where technically I used to distract my Latin professor because he loved the library at Alexandria, but I distracted him because I was a chemistry major. He loved talking about chem. I would distract him, and I would tell him this theory of, technically, when you talk, molecules are coming out of vibrations are coming out of your mouth, which modify every single structure around you. So in theory, we don't have anywhere close to the technology right now, but we could, in theory, take a machine that was like a needle on a disc record player, and we could take chunks of the library at Alexandria, which is arguably the largest library that ever existed, as well as
greatest
one of the best places that logical symposium.
Sure,
where
that's the word.
They could lectures were given and intelligent conversation was had. We could take that theoretical needle, put it on a brick from the library at Alexandria, and deconstruct the way that the vocal molecules change the structure of the brick itself, and you could
pull out conversations that were had there. That is a giant theory, but it is
It's
technically
so good.
It is technically a possibility.
Yes. Well,
If
and
you're
again,
able-
for everybody that's heard it, every single podcast I say, energy is information that vibrates. You have those sound waves coming out, they hit the molecules of the brick, deposit that vibrating information,
Mhm.
right? You just need to extract it.
And I'm sure there's a quantum physicist out there that's like, it can happen because of this. And that's why I say it's a theory for sure.
I think it's brilliant.
But there's that. So now translate it into this. Here's what kind of cracks your brain. So this is the kind of shit I think of at like 2 a.m. when I can't sleep. So as a child develops within their mother, right? Isn't their brain is developing. So isn't there technically, since the mother is they're being developed inside the mother, couldn't she kind of already impose some thoughts, feelings into that child's brain
100%.
as it's developing within the womb?
Totally.
Cool. So, tape recorder theory. If we go back just with children, then that means that at a base level that your child's thoughts and feelings, which were imprinted, obviously there's nature and nurture. Once again, this is a wide berth here, but it was imprinted on the child. Well, then you can feed your way back up through the mom, and you could essentially say that there's a streamline of consciousness from that mother all the way back to whoever her first ancestor is.
Kind of fascinating.
Right?
Yeah.
That is that's a possibility.
Uh-huh.
Okay, now we look at the Bible. So we look at what are the big stories that everybody knows out of the Bible, right? And admittedly, I'm cherry picking a little bit here, but Adam and Eve,
Yep.
Noah's Ark,
Yep.
Moses. But we kind of don't know. Granted, those could be because those are the ones that are the most taught, but could they be the most taught for a reason? Maybe because of some stream of consciousness, we're going back to a story that we already knew, maybe?
Yeah.
That we already knew the story.
There's familiarity there already built in.
It's just written in a book.
Yeah.
But it's not the exact story,
Right.
but it's a story that we know, but we just don't know how somebody told us this story.
Right.
Okay. Back even further. What if we got the story? What if we go to the theory of what if we just got the story wrong? So we have a stream of consciousness, and then we have gotten a story wrong. Then we go to science. So what if Adam and Eve what if Adam is a single-celled organism? What if Adam was the first single-cell organism to multiply?
Yep.
If you look at the story of Adam and Eve, Adam, as a scientist would say, in that story, Adam did asexual replication,
Uh-huh.
aka God took a rib from Adam and created Eve.
Yep.
So if Adam was the first asexual organism, bacteria, whatever that is, to multiply, then the rib came from Adam, which created Eve.
Yep.
Now you have 2 organisms, and then they can sexually reproduce, which creates Cain and Abel. And then if you want to get humorously morbid about that, you can go, well, Cain killed Abel. Well, what if he didn't know the difference because they're both single-celled organisms, so they just ate.
Yep.
So he just ate one. And what if because the whole theory of the whole story of Eve eating the apple, what if Eve just ate something that allowed her to all of a sudden sexually reproduce rather than asexually reproduce?
Right.
Now all of a sudden you see the world for what it is.
Uh-huh.
Then they sexually reproduce. It creates Cain and Abel. It creates the children, and then
Uh-huh.
it creates and then you talk about the big story of Noah and Noah's Ark, and
Uh-huh.
everybody wants to talk about the ark as far as it's impossible to put one of every creature in an ark
Right.
in 40
Yeah.
days and 40 days and 40 nights. Okay. All right, I'll play your game. Here's my game. What if Noah was not a person that created an ark? What if Noah was the first creature that crawled out of the primordial ooze and carried all that bacteria, all that information on his back, and then he went up, saw what's there, go forth and multiply, went back down,
Yep.
and then continued to bring other quote unquote animals with
Yeah.
him.
Yep. Brilliant.
You're in a perfect environment, which is how that, will forsake Noah exists. And so they can live for a very long time in a perfect environment. You can live for a very long time in a perfect environment.
Yep.
So who's to say that Noah wouldn't go from creating an ark to being the ark
Right.
that brought other animals up.
Yep.
And then that's how, in my head at 2 a.m, I was like, okay, that's how you get the theory of evolution, and then you marry it to science, and then you marry it to faith. And what if we're just not dumb enough, or we're not smart enough to go along a theory like that, or create something, that is, since God is all-knowing and omnipotent, then what if this is the line? What if, and we're just missing it, and we're too busy arguing at each other, and we're not marrying faith and science, which is what he created in the first place, which is science. So he created everything. Everything has according to faith, everything has a place and a reason.
Yep.
So that means he had a reason for according to this, he had a reason for science existing.
Yeah.
And it could be for us to have discovered him, and evolution.
Yes.
Evolution could have been that, but we're too busy arguing over it.
Yes.
And once again, I'm not saying I believe it. I'm just saying, I came up with this theory at 2 a.m, and that's when people are like, do you believe in God or do you believe in science? I'm like, there's a lot to open up here.
Right.
There's a lot more to talk about. And it's so I look at that and I go, isn't it crazy that we could just be because of a potential transfer of consciousness, we could be missing a major point, but we got all the stories.
Totally.
We just wrote them down in a way that we could all relate to them.
Yes. Well, and everything is, I love that idea of, you got to take the Bible literally. Jesus taught in parables, folks. He was telling you,
a mathematician, it'd be parabolas.
And so you don't think we're playing a massive game of telephone over generation over generation over generation?
And we talk about DDT and stream of consciousness. What if he's just the best at it?
Yeah.
What if he's just the best at tapping into, what if he was just the best at tapping into a stream of consciousness that already existed, and that's prophesizing?
Yeah.
Right? And if you listen to what I'm saying, the cool thing is I'm not discrediting anybody, right?
No.
I'm not discrediting science or faith on this.
Right.
If anything, I'm proving both theories.
Yes.
And that's the coolest part for me. How can we prove both?
Right.
What's a way that we can prove what's a way that we can prove both?
Yep. Okay, so then is there a point to it all? Whether it is science or God or both or whatever the combination is, why the fuck are we here?
If there is a point to it all,
and that's an even better question.
Yeah. So
if there is,
you would have to. Your question hinges on. It's interesting because I would have the follow-up question of, are you basing that question on faith?
Well, and that's
if
why
you're basing it on whether God exists or not.
Well, either way.
Because if God exists, then the meaning of life is life itself, right? Is to go through struggles, and to
to be
a good person in the process.
Okay.
Be the best version of yourself. I had at a really low point in my life that was a couple years ago. I came up with the phrase of be the best person that you can be for yourself and everyone around you. Is what I came up with, and I want people to listen to it because I say it that way in that order for a reason.
Yep, that's the right order.
Take care of yourself. Be the best person that you can be for yourself and those around you.
Yep.
And what I mean by that is, don't do it selfishly. Is you want to make sure that you're in your best shape mentally and physically, so that when you're called to, when you need to stand up and go do something, whether that's answering the phone or you need to run and you need to go help somebody with something, you're the best version of yourself.
Yep. You got to put your mask on first in the airplane before you can help somebody else put theirs on.
Yeah. But that doesn't mean that you can't sacrifice that. I also say, the reason I say don't do that selfishly is there's no reason that you can sacrifice a little bit. That's the definition of being a good person, right? You sacrifice a little bit of that, and in order to go take care of somebody else's needs before your own, at times. And that's the big thing is like in your interims, do everything that you can to be the best person. But then when you're with everybody else, don't be afraid. You sacrifice in a little bit of yourself to go help somebody else.
Right. Yep. Good point. Very good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, and I think even on the scientific end, going back to the question, what's the point? Well, what does any living organism want?
Happiness.
Well, yeah. And it wants to replicate. It wants to, right? Like it wants life. It wants.
Oh, you're talking about super scientific. Yeah. Strictly scientific.
Yeah. Strictly scientific.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So it's programmed in us to scientifically, it's reptilian. It's programmed in us to go forth and multiply.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Which is, it's kind of fascinating. Well, and I just love that we don't have a scientific answer for consciousness.
Kind of like gravity.
Right. Kind of like, yeah,
we're still working on a theory for gravity. It's just a theory. Gravity is still just a theory.
Yeah.
Which is insane.
Which is nuts.
It's very cool.
Oh, man. You know Dr. David? He was in the group for a while.
Oh, yeah.
His episode, we got into the gravity thing, and he's like, well, what if it's this? Like, and he had a theory. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I'm like, see, and this is why I love this sort of stuff, because
it's technically a force. We know it's a force.
Right.
Yeah.
But then
what makes up the gravitational force?
Right.
Exactly.
Which is
the thing that we don't know. So.
It's wild. Okay, so let's we got a few minutes here. Closing arguments, wife, and then I have a final question.
I love that we get to call it closing arguments. She'll love that.
What's her name?
So Miranda is. I don't feel comfortable sharing that on air, so we can just skip past that, okay? And Tina, get some dinner.
I purposely don't put last names on any of this.
Appreciate it.
So it's like you really got to hunt people down.
Because I'm very concerned about North Idaho.
Well, you never know.
Yeah, whatever. No, Miranda.
Miranda. Okay,
yeah.
How'd you meet her?
Met her through one of my best buddies that I've known since I was 3 years old. He was down in Boise getting his master's, or he was getting a degree. He was getting a degree.
He was doing something.
Whether it was a bachelor's or a master's, dude's got like 15,000 degrees. But he was. I went down to go see him, and was living in Spokane, Washington at the time. I hadn't seen him for a while. Drove down to Boise. It's about a 6.5, 7 hour drive. 7 if you make a lot of stops. And excuse me, I got gum in my mouth. And I went down to go see him one weekend, and I was chit-chatting. He was like, my roommates, I hate my roommates. I was like, why do you hate your roommates, dog? And he goes, well, there's this girl, and she's like, her ex-boyfriend's here, and the ex-boyfriend, actually, I went to high school with him and my buddy. Okay. We all went to high school together.
Yeah.
So I knew him, but I didn't know the girl. And so I was, he was like, we just won't hang out with him that much. He was like, I don't want to hang out with him anyway in the first place. All right. So we hung out a little bit. We played some like Mario Kart and stuff.
Like SNES Mario Kart?
Actually,
N64.
Yeah. I think it was N64. It was
N64.
Okay.
All right. Okay.
But we played Mario Kart. You ever play Mario Kart?
No.
Oh, so we played Mario Kart, which is super fun. So you go get a bunch of drinks, you go get a bunch of beers, and you can play it the nice way, or you can play it hard mode, or you can play it real hard mode. But we were doing the nice way, essentially, which is in Mario Kart, you have 3 or 4 races in a cup. I think you have 4 races.
4. Yep.
You have 4 races in a cup. So you open a beer, and then by the end of those 4 races, you need to finish your beer.
Okay.
But there's no drinking and driving. So you have to set down your controller, pick up your beer, and then then you can continue to play.
Yep.
So you can stagger that out. You can drink it in
between matches.
So we played that. Yeah, played that. Had a good time. Got to know everybody. My strategy is I just drink it all in the first like race, and I just set my controller down, except that I'm gonna get like maybe 7th.
Yeah.
And then I just wait. I watch everybody else have to set their controllers. I just chug my beer, and then I wait for everybody else. But here's the thing. And then hard mode is you have to drink a beer for every individual race.
Oh, good night.
And then really hard mode is you have to is that you drink a beer for every individual race, and then the loser of that round has to take a shot.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh, you're getting lit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And
cool.
so, yeah, it's just a way to get the night started is really
Yeah.
what it is. So we played that with them. I got to chit chat with them and I was like, oh, okay. I was like, she's kind of cool. I go, but your friends, you know, your friend has a negative opinion of someone and you're like, I'm going to kind of be hesitant though.
Yeah.
And I was like, but she's kind of pretty. And so,
Yeah.
and so
She's cute.
I got their Snapchats. I got everybody's Snapchat. Yeah. And I was like, where are you from? And she, you know, she's from North Idaho. And I was like, well, if you're ever in the area, I'm in Spokane. If you're ever in the area, let me know. I'd love to hang out with you. And, you know, you kind of say it as a party, like, let me know. I'd love to hang out with you.
Right.
Kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And okay. And
yeah.
then,
And then you never see him again.
alrighty. And so in the case of a slide, steer in the direction of the skid.
Fantastic advice.
Billy got messed up on marijuana. Oh no, Bill! Watch out! It's the devil. Sorry, but I saw on her Snapchat story one night. I just got done working, and I was working up at the airport at a rental car place up at the airport. So I was off for the rest of the night. I'd done the early morning shift, and it was a Friday night, and I saw on her story that she was over in Coeur d'Alene, which is 20, 30 minutes away.
Yeah.
And so I was like, hey, I messaged her. I was like, hey, I told you if you're ever in town, we can hang out. Like, did you want to hang out? Little did I know she had already a drink or two, and she thought I was attractive as well. And so, cute. Yeah. And so she was like, yeah, you can come out. Sure. I'm with my friend. And so I was like, oh, okay. So I called my buddy Matt, and I was like, Matt, I'm going to go meet this girl in Coeur d'Alene, but if it sucks, I need you there so we can bounce.
Yes.
And he was like,
wingman.
Oh, for sure. And he was like, dude, I'm at the theater with my parents, but I can be there in 45 minutes. And I was like,
perfect.
Okay. I waited a half an hour and then I started driving.
Okay.
And then I drove over there, met up with her, told her I'd be there in an hour. And so I met up with her. We hung out for, we were hanging out. I was getting to know her, and she's such a fun drunk. She is such a fun drunk.
Yeah.
And that was the first like red or green flag.
Yes.
I was like, dude, when she's drunk, she's like it's an emphasis of her own personality. It's the best. And so, and that was one of the things that I knew. I've been through several relationships that I wanted in a partner. It's like, I know I get more fun when I'm drunk, so I want somebody that does the same.
Right,
I was like,
totally.
that's dope. She was like stealing her friends' hats and like putting them on backwards, all jokingly. And the song "Snapback" by Old Dominion had just come out, and I was like,
I don't know if I know that song.
Oh, it's great. So she had a snapback on backwards, and that song was like playing in my truck on the radio on the way over there, and I was like, this is fucking weird. And so I was like,
synchronicities.
And so we ended up hanging out, and this is the fun part. So my buddy Matt shows up 15 minutes later, and he's like, hey man, how's it going? We're at the bar. He orders an Irish Death, which is a really strong beer.
Yep.
And Miranda comes up to me, and she was like, hey, she goes, my friends are done at this bar and we want to go to the next one. And I was like, and Matt had literally just got his beer.
Got the drink.
So I was like, dude, you got to chug that. We got to go. And he was like, what? And he goes, I go, she wants to go to the next bar. We got to go to the next bar. And they were trying to hook her up with a guy from high school that they were all high school friends of hers.
Okay.
She was in town for Thanksgiving. They were all high school friends of hers.
Yep.
And they were trying to hook her up with another person that she knew from high school.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, we got to go. I was like, dude, we got to go. And
Fish
he was
on the line. I am not letting it go.
Didn't even second guess. He goes, what? I was like, we got to go. And he goes, all right. And he just chugged it.
Oh.
Dude. So then we went and we go to the next bar. And it's right next door. And we go there. We both order a beer. He orders the same thing, an Irish Death, because he's like, I actually want to enjoy this one.
Yeah.
She comes up to me 5 minutes after we gotten our drinks. She goes, my friends don't really like the feeling or the vibe of this bar. And she was like, she goes, they want to go to another one. I go, well, looks like we're chugging our beers, Matt. And he goes, what?
Shout out, Matt.
And so he
chugs
his beer.
Oh.
And he is just feeling it. And
yeah,
he's like 2 Irish Deaths, like he's feeling it. And so we go to the next bar, and he finally gets a beer, and I get a mixed drink, and it's got caffeine in it. And so I'm like, cool. And we end up palling around and hanging out for the rest of the night, essentially. Yeah. And I told Matt, I remember it was, when I say it out loud, it may or may not sound douchey, but when at the time, in the moment, it was one of the slickest things I could have said, because they were like, hey, have you talked to Skylar? Was the guy's name. They're like, hey, Miranda, have you talked to Skylar? And I looked at Matt and I go, little do these boys know, they're playing checkers and I'm playing chess. And he was like, we're both half lit, so we thought it was the best thing ever. We high-fived, and we were like, all right. And it was cool. Like Miranda and I ended up where Matt bought us some drinks and we went dancing, and then Miranda and I just like hung out for the rest of the night. But then we left to go for, we're like, hey man, we're getting out of here. We're gonna go for a walk, blah, blah, blah. We're gonna, we might go for a drive and whatever. And so I was like, bye.
Peace. Thanks,
and
Matt.
I texted him all that, and he was like, what? And he's like, oh man. And apparently, as he told me, he went back to the group of friends.
Yeah.
And they're all in a circle, and they're like, hey, where'd Miranda go? And the dude, the main guy that was trying to hook her up with the other gentleman, was like, oh, she went home with some douchebag from Moscow. And so he likes me now, by the way. Yeah. And he's or at least we're on good terms. And so and so my buddy heard, and so Matt heard that, and he's like, fuck. He's like, I gotta get out of here. They will not like the friend of the douche from Moscow.
No, so Matt dipped.
So what you'll know, what it turned into was something beautiful, because we didn't know, because we were in Spokane, we didn't hang around Coeur d'Alene a lot, is he is lit out of his mind, and he wanders into this place called Crafted in Coeur d'Alene.
Yep.
Right as they're lowering a table from the ceiling, because it's Friday night, and on Friday night they do turtle races.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. I haven't done this yet.
So he walks in. This table has just been lowered on chains, and there's this dude in the center of a table with a bucket full of turtles between his legs. And he's like, get your tickets here. Get your tickets here. And my buddy's just, he came back, and he said he had to sleep in his car, and he was like, I had to look it up because I didn't know if it was real.
If it was real or not.
We found out it was real. We went back the next weekend.
Yeah, you did. Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
And the rest was history from there. Like, I got Miranda's actual phone number.
I got
Miranda's actual phone number, and then we were long distance for about a year.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yep, we did long distance for a year.
Cool.
We saw each other. At first, we saw each other every 6 weeks, and then we hated that. And then we agreed to see each other every 3 weeks.
Yep.
And then she actually moved to Helena, and she was there for 4 months. And then her company was kind enough, because we were both like, hey, we should move in together. Like, I can't do this anymore. No. Like, I can if we need to, but like, nah. Like, I need you here. And so we contemplated, and I was like, I really don't want to move back to Helena. It's, good for Helena, but I just didn't want to move back there at the time. And she was like, yeah. She was like, I've kind of seen it in 4 months. And she was like, so I'll come to Spokane. So she moved over to Spokane.
Cool.
And what was the other thing I was going to tell you about that? But essentially, and so we lived together.
What year was this? When did you?
That was 2018.
Okay.
2017. Because we've been together for, this will be 8 years in September. So 25 minus, So that'd be 2017. Yeah.
Nice.
So,
okay, cool.
But yeah. But the funny thing is so we had to keep it a secret for a little while, because her jealous ex-boyfriend was still in the house that she was living in down in Boise.
Gross.
But the best part was so my buddy, like, he had been getting fed lies about who Miranda was the whole time, because he was just talking to the other guy. He wasn't talking to Miranda because they were from high school. He doesn't know Miranda, but he knows this guy from high school.
Right.
Turns out this guy from high school was the guy that was telling him that she was a POS and that she didn't care and blah 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 yada yada. Well, we kept our relationship a secret for several months, and then I went down to go visit her, and we invited my buddy Andrew, was his name. We invited him to breakfast, and we were like, "Hey, buddy, like, we had already said that we loved each other, so it was like, all right, well, now we've said that, like, we should probably tell him."
Yeah.
And the coolest thing is like, we sat him down, and we were like, "Hey, man, so we're in a relationship. We've actually been in a relationship for several months, under your nose, and we're sorry, but we wanted to let you know when we felt like we were going to actually take it further."
Yeah.
And We've said we loved each other, and so we feel like we wanted to bring you in as soon as possible. And the cool thing is this is why we're such good friends. Is he was so stunned, but because he didn't have a clue, but he was, even though we had made like secret trips down to, I'd made secret trips down to go see her. He had no clue, but he was like, okay. He was like, he's like, that's super cool. And he looked at Miranda. He was like, I guess I should get to know you then. And he was like, and the cool thing is they started getting to know each other. And the other side of the coin, which is kind of my favorite phrase or famous phrase right now, along with several others, but she didn't know him because the other guy, the ex-boyfriend, had been saying that Andrew was a POS. And so Miranda didn't know Andrew. Andrew didn't know Miranda. They ended up getting to know each other. And it was super cool because the ex-boyfriend was not a good guy to have in the house.
Clearly.
And he was not being the best ex to Miranda verbally. And so essentially it was really cool because Andrew was there and he could kind of like help look out for Miranda while I wasn't there. And then they became really good friends because of it. It was super cool. I was like, awesome. One of my best friends is now really good friends with my girlfriend. Like, this is what you want.
There's nothing better when your people enjoy each other.
Yeah. This is what everybody wants out of a relationship.
Totally.
Like when your girlfriend or your boyfriend goes into your friends and they're like, fuck you out. And they're like, yo, fuck you, buddy. Like, you're like, oh, this is going to get real awkward for a while, but I love him. Or, but I love her. Like, it just doesn't.
No.
It was super cool to see.
My brother-in-law just went through a divorce and we were all like, as he's going through the process, like, yeah, she was a bitch. Thank you. He's like, why didn't you guys tell me? Well, because, bro, there was like,
oh, dude,
you were digging her and like, whatever. We want you to be happy. And so whatever, but we all hated her. So,
we went through that. We went through that with another buddy that he's since moved away, but he was married to his high school girlfriend. And I got brought into that friend group. Oh, bro. This girl, I know we're getting close to time here, but I'll regale you with another one. So this woman, which I will not name, was very avid about board games and incredibly competitive. The good news is I got brought in as a fresh face, right?
Oh, yeah.
So I don't have any context to anything.
Yes.
These people that I'm being brought into all have known each other since childhood.
Right.
Once back to college,
finish each other's sentences, all the crazy.
You don't know me. I don't know you. I can be whoever I want to be.
Yep.
And so I walk into this and we're playing a board game. And we'll call her Susan. No offense to any
It could be
Susans.
Karen.
No offense to any Susans out there. It's just it's close enough. It'll work for the story.
Yep.
And we're playing this board game and she's just like giving people, and we're in their apartment and it's this group of friends. She's just giving people shit the whole time. And I'm new, but she is like giving it to me one after another. And I was playing nice and I'm trying to be good and
engender yourself
and I'm just like,
group.
I'll play along and just try, because I'm trying to be, you can be anybody who you want to be, but you don't want to be the asshole.
Right.
So I was coming in and I'm like, maybe this is just how this goes. I'll let it go for a little while. So I let it go for a little while. And then I get up from the board game to go into the kitchen. And she goes, yeah, Dain, why don't you get something to eat before you come back here and lose again? And I go, Susan, why don't you fuck off? And I walked into the kitchen, and I never say that to anybody, right? Like,
but it was there.
Yeah. And so I was like, and I had been getting it for like an hour and a half straight. Like, Jesus, give me a break. And I was like, so I walk into the room and I go grab something like real quick, and I walk back into the room to see what the damage is. Yeah. When I tell you that everybody but her was giving me the best puppy dog eyes, like they were like, you said what we've all wanted to say for the past 8 years. They were like, are you Jesus? Like, it was the best. They were like, this guy's invited back every time if he's going to do shit like that. And it was so good. I was immediately, you walk in and you're immediately in.
Yeah.
I was like, what
Walking
up, dude?
on water. Oh, it's so good.
I was like, let's run it back.
Yeah. Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
That's exactly. You want your people to love your people.
Yeah.
Okay, so 2 last questions.
Okay.
And I could ask you questions about your wife for another hour.
I bet you could.
But
she's
the
pretty
most
interesting.
important one about her is What do you dig about her? Why do you love her? Why does she make your world spin around?
She matches me with the same amount of affection that I match her with. And we both give each other, we both communicate well, incredibly well with each other. And we both have the same amount of patience for one another.
Oh, yeah.
Those are the big things. I've always wanted somebody that I was emotionally and physically attracted to.
Yep.
But also was that I could communicate with, that would actually listen and hear me, because I knew I would do the same for them.
Yeah.
I've always done my best to do the same for my partner. And so it was like, that, and I can leave her. The other big thing that I always say that that she should take a lot of pride in, but I've always been the extrovert, and like I can talk to anybody and everybody. I'll find something that we can relate to, and we'll chit chat.
Yep.
At the very least, I'll pepper you with questions until you love me.
Yeah, totally.
Not in an annoying way, but just like, let me get to know you.
Yeah,
you know,
genuinely curious. Let's find a way.
And the cool thing that I love is like, what are you passionate about? And then I find what somebody's passionate about, and then I can ask them questions about that, and it makes it an entertaining conversation for everybody.
Totally.
Because they're going to get their tone changes, their posture changes, and now I can get engaged with what they're engaged with.
Yes.
So that's my style of communication. And the cool thing is like, I've always been that guy that can walk into a room and do that. Well, not always. From college on, I've been the guy that can walk into a room and do that. And I've never met somebody that I can leave alone, that can, at a party, that can trust that I'm just doing my thing.
Oh.
And I'm going to bounce from person to person.
Right.
And they can go and entertain themselves, and they can be an individual.
Yeah.
It's like I'm
in the past, that person needed to like have you with them, cling,
or they're like, hey, you're talking to that girl, like you've been talking to her for a while, and it's not incredible jealousy, but it's enough.
Yeah.
And it's just like, and so I can leave her alone, and I come back and people are like, your wife is great. I'm like, I fucking know.
Yeah,
like,
she is.
Yeah. Like, that's what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
And the way I like to describe our marriage is that we are two individuals that got married.
Yeah.
Because we love being around each other.
Well, and I think that first year of long distance relationship, I think that's a big bonus, actually.
Yeah. I'm a big believer that you should be single for several years in your life. You shouldn't be. I love it. It's called Tarzan dating, where you shouldn't do that, where you're hanging on to one and then you won't let go until you grab another vine.
Yeah.
Like vine being people.
Yep.
Or penises. But they
or penises.
or penine, but penile, but right, like you should be single. I'm a big believer you should be single for a year, 2 years, 3 years
to get
how
to
else
to
do
get
you
to
not
figure
know
out
yourself.
Yeah.
And the others, and then people could say, well, you just you've always been able. Like, no, I haven't always been able to have a girlfriend. Like it's like there are times that it was not a choice.
Yes.
Right. And so and that was when but the whole reason I say that is you should be working on yourself.
Yes.
And I'm a big believer, if you're doing what you love, you'll find somebody else that fits your frequency.
Oh, so well said.
If you like bike riding every Sunday, you're going to find somebody who likes to bike ride every Sunday. By just being you and being an individual, you will find somebody that fits your frequency way more than if you try to force it. And I always tell, and Miranda knows this, and she did the same thing. We were not looking for each other. We were just doing what we enjoyed doing.
Yes.
Which was seeing friends.
Yep.
And then from there, you just find somebody that fits your frequency.
Oh, that's so well said. Yep. I love that you found that. And it does. It sounds like you two are very complementary.
Yeah.
And my wife and I kind of had to, because we got together young. And so we ended up at a point where it was like, okay, we're together because, we've experienced all these things together, but we're really intertwined. Where do you begin? Where do I begin? Where do you end? Where do I end? And so we really had to go, okay, we are two autonomous people that are choosing to be together because we vibe.
And she pushes me in the right spots.
Yeah.
Like she's like, and I know it's kind of cliche to say that. A lot of people say that, but I will say like the example of that is family. She is huge on family.
Yeah.
me and my dad will go like 6 months without talking to each other.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden we'll pick up the phone and we're like, hey, how's it going? Like, you know what I mean? And so it's
but I take it she's on the phone with her folks.
With her, she's not on the phone, but we have scheduled family dinners.
Oh, cool.
Like where it's like, she's like, we need to go see my dad.
Yeah.
And we need to have a family dinner with my dad and the siblings.
Nice.
And it's like, if we haven't seen a certain sibling, and then she's translated it onto my family, which is awesome. She's like, we haven't seen your aunt and she's over in Montana.
Yeah.
Or we haven't seen your aunt who's over in Washington. We need to go see them. Can we make it work in our schedule? Like, do you think we should get a hold of her? And so that's the coolest thing.
Yeah.
Because a lot of my side of the family is like that. Like we can call each other every 6 months and then we're fine.
Yeah, you're good.
But she's not that way.
I need to call my cousin back. That's a good reminder.
Yeah, I know. I've missed 2 birthdays.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, jeez.
I know.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
you just do catch-up calls and you're fine.
Yeah. If it wasn't for Rachel, I'd be like,
but
it's been a
admit your
couple
mistake.
Yeah. Yes.
But admit your mistake. Like first thing you call them and you go, hey, I missed you. Hey, I noticed I missed your birthday. So I just wanted to call you and play a quick game of catch up and see how you're doing.
Yeah. Well, I think I officiated my cousin's wedding.
You could probably call that one.
Well, not only that, but she, I know already ahead of time when she's going to tell me she's pregnant.
Congratulations to her.
Well, and so maybe I should freaking call her back.
That might be a good idea, buddy.
Yeah. Oh, gosh.
Yep.
Good heavens. Okay, last question.
Yep.
And I wish we had more time.
That's fair.
But this is my favorite question. If you had a megaphone that could reach everybody on the planet, what would your message to them be?
Oh, man. That's good. So there's 2 things that come to mind. One that's more coarse, and then one that is always that everybody knows. Right? Remember to treat everybody how you would like to be treated.
Yeah.
That comes from the service industry. And the more coarse version of that is there's enough dicks in life. Don't be one of them.
Yeah. Yep. I love it.
Yeah.
Those are so good. Well, Dain, this has been awesome.
Brandon.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome, Brandon. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Oh, gosh. What's his name? Family Guy.
Stewie.
Yeah. Thank you.
No problem, Lewis.
I needed to watch some more of that in my life.
Mm-hmm.
All right. All right. Well, bye, guys.
Bye.